Welcome to the Kennebunkport Planning Board meeting of the 18th of February. There are 3 applications that we're going to deal with this evening. We do have a quorum. We're short a couple of people, actually. We have a new member, but he's not here yet. And so we'll take attendance. George, nice to see you.
There are openings on the planning board. I will throw that out.
No, technically there aren't. Right?
Oh, what?
We have 2 alternates. We have 2 alternates remaining. Yep.
And were there minutes that came up?
Yeah.
Should.
There were some that were circulated.
And I found them. Okay.
I thought they were fine as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would move to accept those minutes.
Second that?
All those in favor?
Aye.
3-0. We approve the minutes, and those were from the 4th. of
Fourth.
February.
Yeah.
That's not on the agenda. So we'll begin with the first item on here is number 250801, Bath Lane. And this is a continued public hearing this evening.
Good evening, James Lowry.
James, as you begin, I noticed the agenda lists this as a 4-lot subdivision. Did that change?
It did.
Yeah.
That was item number 1 on my to convey list to you
All
all.
right.
Yes.
I'll let you begin.
No worries. James Lowry, VH2M. Yes, per the advice, so to speak, of counsel and input of the town attorney, we did remove what we show now on the plan, I'll point it out in just a second, as the outsale lot from the actual subdivision. So now the subdivision is technically a 3-lot subdivision. All of our net density and open space calculations have been done off of that 3 lots and the approximately 2.85 acres of gross property area. Since our last meeting together back in December, right before the holidays, we've also done a couple of other changes to the plans that were part of a letter mailed back at the end of January. As you notice on the road layout and lot layout, we've shortened the road quite a bit, taken the curve out at the very end. Been able to adjust the lot lines to hopefully come up with 3 good-sized buildable lots. I know there were some questions about the one parcel right in what was in the middle last time, so I think we've made an improvement on the lot layout there. We've also reworked the open space. We do provide the 15%, the required 15% open space within the property with this layout. We've updated the limits of the wetland as you flow, as the wetland that comes under the culvert right at the new turnaround. Public comment indicated that may extend up to the end of Reynolds Lane. We had our wetland scientists go out before really any more bad weather set in, so he was able to hang some more flags. We were survey located those, and that's depicted on the plan now. We've added the 75-foot stream setback officially to the plan. I think I had an exhibit for you all at our December meeting per some abutter comment that there was a stream that cut through there. We took the plan from the Heritage Housing Trust, were able to lay in, scale it appropriately and lay in where the stream was, delineated on that property, offset 75 feet for our building setback, and then revised the hydrant location down on Old Cape Road. We did get, that was per some comments from the water district, we did get confirmation late this afternoon that the engineer with the water district had coordinated with the fire chief. They were happy with the location, and I emailed Galen that, as well as some of the other minor changes to the plans that we had addressed when we sent those in a couple of weeks ago. And also updated the stormwater plans and calculations per some comments from Acorn. Just so you guys are clear on that, I noticed some quizzical faces. This is the section of wetland that originally, a small portion of that was delineated, and that's been extended up through right in there. This is the 75-foot stream setback that we've officially added to the plan. The stream is this heavier dark line, which is completely off the property. So that's been added in, and as you can see, much of that area up in this corner, or all of that area, is outside of the building setbacks, which are, form these more pointed triangular shaped pieces right up in the corner. So really, that was all sort of part of this rework of the lot layout, in addition to the open space, to make that really, this corner not be as able to encroach into the stream area.
And that is still part of that lot?
The hatched area here is technically part of the open space.
Okay.
There is a small piece that does overlap the lot.
Okay.
But the stream setback runs right through here, and the building setback really stops short of that on both lots.
And the open space is now wrapped around the edge?
Correct. We've got a larger area there to provide some buffer to the Burke piece, and then there's we took this, we sort of modeled this off of an access that was provided around for the open space on the Heritage Housing Trust. One of Nadia's comments will be to do some coordination with the Housing Trust to make sure that what is and is not allowed in our open space, especially right here where it borders theirs, aligns where you would have effectively two 10-foot strips.
Perhaps okay, so it's been a while since I looked at the housing trust.
Yep.
So there's a 10-foot strip along that edge that the housing trust has as open space?
Correct.
Okay.
And I have that.
Thanks.
I'm sorry, what did you mean in terms of one of Nadia's comments will be?
So one of the comments that Nadia made as a suggestion, and this is something that's in your comprehensive plan, is when you have two abutting properties that have abutting open spaces, that they look at shared use of those open space between,
Make sure they're the same.
because you're right next to each other. So that's just a suggestion.
Okay. Thank you.
What's the form of that suggestion that you're alluding to? Is
It was-
a verbal comment?
It was in the memo that Nadia
Yeah,
provided
it's
for
in the memo.
tonight's
It's in
meeting.
the planning,
Yeah, it's in the planner's memo.
which I'm
It's just
looking
a
for which version of that?
February 13th, 2026.
Yeah, I don't have the notice.
It was under page 6, item 26. And the comment was, the proposed open space is adjacent to the open space in the abutting subdivision owned by the Neighborhood Housing Trust. Staff recommends the developer reach out to the Neighborhood Housing Trust to discuss the possibility of a shared open space agreement for the benefit of both subdivisions. So this isn't something that needs to be part of the plan tonight. It's part of something for final plan if they want to consider it.
Okay, thank you. I'm aggravated at myself for not having that at hand, that's all.
There's a lot of documents on this.
Sorry.
No, I'm happy to, unless you guys have more questions right now, I'm happy to relinquish for the public hearing, and
Let's just see, are there questions for the board? From the board?
I thought there'd been some discussion about whether Lot 2, which was, I guess, primarily in the Cape Porpoise zone.
the old layout, Lot 2 was generally split. The predominant part was in the Cape Porpoise zone.
Right, and the abutter who had a lawyer giving comments on that, had challenged that, using the predominance in the Cape Porpoise zone, which had a smaller square footage requirement for Lot 2,
Correct.
and therefore enabled you to use Lot 2. And I think the staff office had said, you know, generally they view the majority of the property in Cape Porpoise zone means Cape Porpoise zone lot requirements would govern.
Right, and our plan, the prior rendition of the plan did have, say, a 20,000 square foot lot right in this general area. So there was some discussion. I think staff supported our prior plan that was okay to have the Cape Porpoise West zone govern from a dimensional standpoint, and then wouldn't need to be a 40,000 square foot like we have Lot 1 right here.
Right, my recollection was the abutter's attorney challenged that.
He did, and we refuted that, and I think at this point, it's even Lot 2, what we have proposed, only has a very small amount of land in the free enterprise zone, which would require the 40,000.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Okay.
So, you know, so it's even, to me, it's less in question with this new layout.
Fair enough.
Anything else, Steve?
No, I didn't have a question.
I was hoping you could remind me of the history we've gone through a little bit during this preliminary phase.
Sure.
I find myself without an integrated package in my hand because it's been through so much. Would you take me through the naming changes and where we are now?
I may not remember all of the naming changes, but it started as Salty Air Lane or Drive, something along those lines. That was deemed to be too close to other salty-related items in town. At that point, it was proposed to be Seabound, I believe. Seabound Way, again, a little too close to other maritime names. So we are now at Driftwood Drive.
All right. Because I know tonight it's on the agenda as Bath Lane.
Right,
So,
yeah,
at
off
least
of
in my
Bath Lane.
mind it was.
Yep,
So in the future, we're gonna refer to this as the Driftwood Lane subdivision.
Driftwood Drive,
Driftwood Drive.
yep. And we have gotten confirmation from staff that was vetted
Yeah.
through the assessor, everybody, and I don't expect any more naming changes.
So when your first preliminary package came here, I was able to go through it, and there's the application, and answered all the questions, and that area calculations, and it was all, I had a hell of a time this afternoon trying to look at that again.
Figure it, yep,
And I'm comfortable, we followed a process. I'm hoping that you're gonna be on the hook in the final package to have an integrated package with all of the information consistent and without all of this.
sure. And ultimately, what went on, what was brought up and what the town attorney weighed in on was that this piece, because it wasn't contiguous, wasn't appropriate to be part of the subdivision.
Right, and that
So-
comes right out of the main statutes, as it turns out, we just weren't.
Right, so this area and everything that was proposed along with this area, namely the open space that was down in the front part, was effectively not allowed to be part of the subdivision anymore. So, exactly, so that's what really prompted us to look at, could we reduce the length of the right-of-way, free up some more usable space within the property to meet the minimum lot requirements, as well as the 15% open space, and, you know, we feel this configuration does that.
Understood. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Can I throw one more in?
Yeah, please.
While we're on that, the open space, that will remain wooded, I mean, particularly around the abutters off of Reynolds Lane?
Yeah,
'Cause I know that had been brought up as well in the,
Yeah, site issues.
Yep, so this area here, we felt this did another advantage, was eliminating that curve. You wouldn't have the lights coming around necessarily with a road. There's still, the driveway on lot 3 will likely cut up more in a easterly direction, up on the plan. And then, this driveway will probably come down and if a home is up in this area from the abutters, wouldn't be as potentially intrusive with light. So I think personally that this layout also helps to alleviate the buffering concerns along this property line, because you've got an open space area right up in here that's immediately off of the hammerhead, as well as the 10-foot undisturbed area. Per your ordinance, it's very limited what you can do within the public open space. One of the things is utilities. We wouldn't envision constructing any utilities in the open space to connect to an abutting piece.
so you don't foresee having a shared driveway between 2 and 3?
We don't propose that right now. We could talk to Mike, and come up with that, but we depicted on our grading plan where we've got 2 separate driveways coming off of the end of the road, and feel that works, so that's not something that we're proposing.
And you still have a buildable lot down here that's separate from this subdivision.
Down here, correct. Yep.
Not for planning. Too bad. You ready to open the public hearing? Is there anybody here in the audience at the fire station that is interested in speaking to this? No? How about on Zoom?
Yes, Rick Sherman has his hand raised.
So Rick Sherman, our planning board member?
Yes, how are you?
Hi, Rick, I didn't.
We got a bigger quorum than we thought.
Yeah, unfortunately, I am muted throughout the call unless you unmute me. But, so a question, I don't have anything from the public hearing, but I do have a question regarding the revised plan. First, I thank you for going back and being responsive to the different changes that we've asked you to do. But recently, we've become keenly aware of the width of roads and how the roads are designed. And you mentioned the hammerhead. And I just want to make sure that you didn't do any changes with the hammerhead or the road to make it smaller or adjust it in any way to kind of comply with the ask that we had with the lot size or the lot layout. Does that make sense?
It does, and the proposed road width is the same as before, 16-foot gravel, and the dimensions of the hammerhead are the same as what was originally worked out through the fire chief. So, yeah, no changes to.
Oh,
to
perfect,
what we had
perfect. That was my
previously done.
question.
It's just slightly relocated.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure we didn't do any changes to what the fire chief had already approved. Thank you.
Anything else, Rick?
No, that's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, and can we leave Rick with the ability
I
to
will
speak?
promote him to a panelist.
Thank you. Any other speakers?
Wow, a promotion.
Yes. Hold on one moment, I'm promoting Rick. We have Leslie with her hand raised. Leslie, you can speak.
Hi.
You're unmuted, but we don't hear you.
What do you suggest we do, Dave?
It's a problem on her end, I can't do anything about it.
Is there any way for her to call?
Yes, if she goes to the website and finds the phone number, or I can find it in just a moment.
Appreciate that.
Here.
It's 929-205-6099. That's what's on the agenda.
And where will that ring?
Where's that gonna ring?
Zoom World.
No,
Yes.
what was
You
someone?
need a meeting ID usually with that.
Okay, I have a meeting ID as well. Leslie, I don't know if you can hear me.
I just put the ID on the bottom.
You did? Okay, good, okay.
Is there anyone else in the interim as we're waiting on that? Was that the only? hand
Yes,
raised?
we have one more that just raised their hand.
We try that.
Heather's iPhone, you can speak when you unmute yourself.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great, super, thank you. I'm unfortunately remote. I just have a question about the layout. I
Could you
understand.
identify yourself, please?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, Heather Strelazzi Ward at 5 Reynolds Lane.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't have the ability to see the plan right now. I'm curious. It sounds like it was reduced from a 4-lot subdivision to a 3-lot subdivision.
Yes.
Can you tell me, because I cannot see the plan right now, are there still 3 lots in the larger, it was a split parcel, my recollection. There was 1 lot at the corner of Old Cape Road and Bath Lane. Is that now removed from
That's
the application?
exactly.
So there's,
Exactly. Right.
okay,
And the 3 that are
okay.
off of the, what is now called Driftwood Drive are the 3 lots of this subdivision.
Okay. Follow-up question, is there any update on the Maine Natural Areas program, the focus area, or any other information from Inland Fisheries and Wildlife regarding rare turtles? Was there any update? I think someone was going to follow up. Thank you for showing the plan.
I'll leave that to you, James. I don't have any information.
We don't have an update on that. From the last meeting that there was going to be some information was provided or perhaps shared with the town that we haven't been made aware of if there would potentially be any, any significant mapped areas that aren't available more to the public.
So I did reach out to at least the beginning with Habitat, with Maine DEP, their mapping folks, to confirm about the spotted turtles and other turtles species that are being shielded, as it was mentioned during the public hearing for this project before. The staff person that I did speak with, they confirmed that they are shielding it. However, they never gave me a solution as to what path municipalities need to take now to make sure that projects do not have any species on there, since they don't have a public map. So I did call to the commissioner today to ask for a follow-up, because no one's getting back to me. And the assistant did respond back and said that they're going to put me in touch with the right person. So I don't know what the long-term solution is going to be at this point, but at least we can try to hopefully get a resolution on this, I think, during the final plan approval. Because again, the
Liability.
final plan, you need all agency approvals at that point anyway.
Understood.
All right, so someone at Inland Fisheries and Wildlife will be getting back to you regarding if and where the known locations of rare turtles might be in this vicinity.
Yeah, they should be providing us, with a letter. We had this for the, Housing Trust as well. When they developed their site, they had a list of recommendations if there was a spotted turtle or other type of, habitat of a protected species.
So, Galen, just
Yep.
for my own sake here, you're saying agency approval, DEP approval will be required for the final?
Yeah, it'd be Maine
That's-
DEP and, Inland Fisheries and Wildlife would be the other one. IMF&W.
So, and this project, it's small enough, and doesn't have the wetland impacts to require a NRPA permit. Need to do our notification to the Corps, but no DEP.
No DEP.
Right.
DEP.
I guess I'm
no-
curious, does the town have standards for protection of rare species
We,
as part of the planning board site review?
I'm gonna let Galen answer that, but my understanding is that the town follows the guidance of Maine DEP.
Yeah, it's whatever the state has, for protections is what we
Nothing
normally
in
have
addition
for,
to that.
we don't have anything that's more stringent than what the state has. Outside of if it's a pond over 10,000 square feet, there is a non-disturbance within the 250-foot buffer of new dwellings in that premise. But outside of that, we would follow whatever the recommendations of the state would be.
Recommendations and requirements.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so there's something that's gonna be a follow-up.
So there'd be a condition in the findings of fact?
There's no findings of fact issued for preliminary.
No, but ultimately,
We would make sure this is resolved during the final
okay,
Yeah,
plan submission.
okay.
and there might be some condition that's levied, but it's fuzzy at this point as to which way it's gonna go.
If you can call the phone number that was mentioned before, I'll say it again. The phone number to dial into this meeting is 929-205-6099. Once you dial that phone number, the webinar ID you want is 846-5383-6386.
Well, while we're waiting, are there any other hands raised?
No.
No? Were there any abutter comments that came in via mail on this?
It came in today.
So you did have a butter correspondence that was from yesterday.
I see a phone number that has appeared. Shall I allow them to talk?
Oh, by all means.
Okay, the phone caller from 1202-431-4312. I allow you to talk. I don't remember the button that you push on your phone to unmute yourself. Perhaps *6? I'm sorry, it's been a very long time since we've done this.
I think I'm unmuted now.
We've got you.
Magical. Is this
That's
Leslie?
wonderful, thank you. So we're another one of the neighbors
Leslie, can you
on
say your name?
Leslie Perlman.
Thank you.
You can continue.
Oh, thank you. I just had a really confusing question. So we got a notice that there was going to be blasting, and I'm not sure where this is going to be built, but are they developing the other lot now separately from this?
Yes, a building permit application has been granted, submitted and approved for the outside lot. We got a flurry of activity with the potential with the blasting, when they put that building permit in.
That's the way abutters received notice of
Correct.
blasting.
Correct. But that is with this outside lot that's not part of the subdivision anymore.
So
Could you mute your
the
computer,
rules
please? We're
with
getting
respect
feedback.
to developing lots in Seriatim doesn't apply. So like they don't have to wait 5 years to do the rest of this?
This lot has been 5 years since this piece was broken off, the Schlubach piece. So this was, building permit was applied for and conveyed out 5 years after this one was. So the subdivision part of this sort of trumps the 5-year window.
Leslie, we're getting feedback from your computer. Could you mute it?
What if I just sign out of my computer and just stay on the phone?
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Okay, hold on.
So, technically, the 5-year window
How's
is
that?
an exemption from the subdivision.
Okay, now I'm back.
Oh, that's better.
Okay, so can you explain that to me? Because I don't really understand that.
The-
I was trying to figure out how this happens.
The 5-year window that people talk about is an exemption within the subdivision law. And what we have is that, what's called the outsale lot now, the piece at the corner of Old Cape and Bath Lane, was a couple things. Number one, it was conveyed out after 5 years, or beyond 5 years, from the Schlubach property. And as well, the subdivision process that we're doing for the remainder of the lot would, is due to subdividing the rest of that piece of property.
So the last time anything was
Okay.
split off was over 5 years ago?
Yes, this would have been January 2021. Then this was after that date in January 2026.
I see. Okay. But originally that was contemplated to be part of this whole development and then you decided not to? Is that what happened?
Because this whole process started before that 5-year period and the outsale lot was shown within the same deed and tax map lot number, we had included it in the original subdivision plans and application. But the town attorney weighed in and deemed that because it was not contiguous to that remaining larger piece farther up on Bath Lane and at the end of Reynolds Lane, then it shouldn't be part of the official subdivision.
I see. Okay. So, and I guess I have one other question with respect to the one that you are blasting. Do you have somebody who's building on that? I don't know if that's something I'm supposed to know, or is this just that you're building a house and then you'll sell it?
I mean,
Not pertinent to this conversation.
It's not technically part of the subdivision and, what we're looking for an approval of, but yes, a building permit has been applied for and issued by the code officer for that lot on the corner of Old Cape and Bath Lane.
Okay. Okay. Since I'm not around that much, I just didn't really, I was trying to get a handle on exactly what was going on. So I appreciate that.
Certainly.
And Leslie, if you certainly want to see the building permit or blasting permit or any information regarding that property, you can certainly contact us and we can share you a link to view those files, or you can stop
Okay.
by the office to view them.
I can do that. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Yeah, Galen, thank you for that clarification, because I think that's important to, rather than say, hey, we don't know, but to tell her where she can get that information. So thank you for clarifying that.
Thanks, Rick. Are there any other hands raised at this point? No. I'll go back to my question. Were there any other abutter comments that we haven't heard from?
There's one that came in yesterday, and it was wanting to verify and confirm the 75-foot buffer around the creek, that they weren't going to be taking down any trees or anything.
The setback.
The setback, and so
Yeah.
that's been verified.
Okay.
And that was from Tanya Alsberg and Jennifer Armstrong
Correct, yes.
And they're over
at
Heritage
7 Briggs Way.
Heritage
Yep.
Trust. Okay. Well, with that, I will close the public hearing. Any other comments? Do we have a motion?
We do have some homework
Okay,
to take a look at.
after we've closed the public hearing or before?
Uh, Do you want me to cover the updated memo, the questions that were outstanding?
Oh, I sure do.
Okay.
What about the HOA?
So the outstanding comments in the planner's memo, one being that the HOA, there's no road maintenance agreement that's provided for Bath Lane for using the new lots that were created. So that's something that was still outstanding that would need to be addressed in the final plan application. The HOA was under attorney review for the agreement for that. There are a few waivers to make you aware of. One being the high-intensity soil survey is being requested for a waiver. There is the hydrogeologic assessment. So this is an optional survey to consider under section 415, 7.2D, subsection 13B. We don't believe there's any stand aquifers or gravel aquifers in this project, so it's warrantable for that waiver. We go down further in the application. There, we address the open space requirement, so that's been addressed. And then, there is sidewalks. So that's the only other thing that I don't believe was discussed by the board. Under section 415-12.2J, this is for sidewalks. The sidewalks are not identified on the plan despite the project being located within the growth area. And so it is the recommendation of staff that there's a waiver with a condition recommended as part of the approval process. And that if it is warranted that sidewalks are needed, if there is so much development and there's infrastructure that starts to grow up around it, that sidewalks will be installed at a later date. And I believe that's all the outstanding waivers and conditions that are requested.
Galen, that development would be presumably on Bath Lane, because it's not gonna be any more development on Driftwood Lane. Right, the condition to reconsider the sidewalks. I'm confused.
I'm not following that either.
Yeah, so if there is sidewalk infrastructure that is expanded upon, that eventually warrants it, keep in mind that we are seeing some state legislative changes that might increase the density within the growth area which this project is located. So forward thinking in the future, your lot size requirements might be different for this area, that additional dwellings could be added in this area. So,
Even after these are developed?
yes.
What about
Yes.
prior to, could one of these lots end up qualifying for, the larger lot end up qualifying for a higher density?
Not right now,
Not right now?
Not right now.
Not within this subdivision?
correct.
Okay.
Not under our current land use standards. They're at their max right now.
Yeah.
I know there's work going on in the
Yeah.
growth committee to look at the legislation that's been passed in Maine, but hasn't been incorporated into our ordinances yet. I'm a little uncomfortable with levying conditions on something at planning board based on speculation on how our ordinance might change in the future. is unprecedented in my tenure.
So in your, in the subdivision standards, it clearly states that sidewalks are required as part of a project that's within the growth area. And so, certainly, if you can.
And we've historically waived them on request where we thought it was in keeping with the other neighborhoods in that area. Right?
Yep.
Okay. You're saying this one, as opposed to all of the others that we've said we've waived, because it's in keeping with the historic nature of those areas. This one, you want to put a caveat on it that says, hey, there's some work going on in the state and in the town, consistent with that at some point, the density of this area might change and there might end up being useful to have sidewalks. I think it's good having this conversation, but I'm not comfortable putting that in as a condition.
A lot of your subdivisions that you've reviewed in the past where sidewalks were, a waiver request, were in the transition area or the rural area of town, which has a little bit lower density threshold requirement. You need larger lots. But in your growth area, that is where, in your comprehensive plan, as part of your visioning for the town, that is where you're intending to direct growth in those areas. And so the legislature is changing what those lot size requirements are, because they're trying to really direct where that growth is taking place.
Understood. And,
Yep.
and the town is rightly got a committee that's off and looking at changing the ordinances accordingly.
Yep. So again, that's staff's
And I know that you work
advice.
with that, closely with that,
Yep.
and so you're knowledgeable and you're sharing it. I'm just telling you what my own comfort level is.
Yep.
And I don't know if there's anything more I can say about it than that.
I mean, ultimately, with the right-of-way that we're proposing, we're asking for a waiver of that design guideline standard.
Right. And I thought we had talked about it already during.
I know a couple of the things that Galen mentioned we have discussed, the hydrogeologic survey and the high-intensity soil survey, we discussed those waiver requests when you deemed the application complete.
Right.
So to me, I think that was sort of put to rest. We also talked a little bit about the existing Bath Lane road maintenance agreement, which I don't know how unique it is, but it's different than, say, the one that I have for my road, where it doesn't expressly delineate a total number of lots that would be party to the road maintenance agreement. It actually has a lot of flexibility in it that, at least from what I interpreted, a lot owner wouldn't necessarily have to contribute to road costs until they developed their lot. So you could have somebody with an undeveloped lot that wouldn't have to pay for plowing, for instance. The other part of that is that it doesn't have a total number of lots associated with it. So by default, as soon as the lots on Driftwood Drive would start to be developed, that total number or the denominator part of that equation would automatically change, and people's fractional share of the cost of road maintenance would automatically change.
What I heard was the attorney's looking at this. Did I gather that right? You've submitted a draft and the attorney's looking at it?
We've submitted the existing. I think what staff was asking is if a new one had to be drafted.
And this is for Bath Lane?
Correct.
Not for Driftwood?
Correct. We submitted a proposed road maintenance agreement for Driftwood Drive as well. May have read Salty Air Lane or whatever it was, but effectively for Driftwood Drive.
So we had a public hearing and we closed it. We're all set to say go, and you brought up this potential issue for the final. Is that what I'm hearing now?
We would truly appreciate a preliminary approval tonight.
I understand, and I think we're prepared to do that. One of the things, if I was in your shoes, the way I see it, is that if there's an issue looming on the final, you're better off knowing about it now than not. And that's what I thought I just heard, that there's a question that says, do the folks on Driftwood have to contribute to the maintenance of Bath Lane, and to what degree and when? You gave me an answer that said, well, the existing one is very vague.
Okay, no, that's not how I interpreted the question, and I apologize there. The way I would read it, Mike, you know, interject if you know better with talking with your attorney, but I would, my interpretation of it as an engineer would think that the folks that buy on Driftwood Drive would automatically get lumped into the road maintenance agreement for Bath Lane because they're part of that.
Can I just say that what I want to see on the final is something in the HOA road maintenance agreement for Driftwood that says what their contribution is to Bath Lane and how it's made and when.
Yep.
I don't want to go
We can
change
do
the
that.
Bath Lane one.
Exactly, and that was sort of
Okay.
my
Maybe
thought, is
maybe
not
you
to,
already did that. Maybe
right,
that's
is not to
crystal clear.
upset that already established agreement.
Fair enough?
Yes.
Okay. Galen, are we okay for the minute on waivers and such?
Yep.
Okay. With that, I would move to approve this preliminary application.
I would second that.
Third.
3-0.
I approve.
Again, let me just
4-0.
reiterate, really need, thank you, Rick, I apologize. Really need an integrated package
Certainly.
for the next, I
Yep.
know.
No, and
We
that's,
don't need
that
it for
typically
tonight.
with the final is, you know, you get that comprehensive package back in front of you, so we will do that.
Wasn't sure how you were going to do it, but you did it.
Thank you for your patience and thoroughness with your explanations. Really appreciate it, James. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the preliminary.
Do we have, is there a case manager?
I am.
Are you?
Yeah.
Do you want to take a cut at the preliminary
So this is a,
application acceptance, notification?
we need findings of fact for preliminary?
It's just a letter.
Okay.
We need a note that says, hey, we found it, all right. Here's some of the things we'll be looking for that we approved. Here's what we're going to do. Just it's almost like a detailed minutes.
Sure.
When we do the final, we'll look back. And that'll go out into the town. Letterhead. Draft it, send it to me. All right, we're gonna move on. Thank you all.
Yep.
Testing?
You can't hear it?
No, it doesn't.
Testing,
Can you guys-
testing.
Can you guys hear? Can you folks in the back hear?
Oh, I see, I can hear you perfectly fine.
David,
Yes.
can you check my mic?
I can hear online.
How about this?
I think he gave me this one on purpose.
Try this.
Well, I don't know, maybe if you could pull it in a little bit more,
Is this any better?
yeah, quite a bit, actually. I apologize, I hear you part of the time.
It's fine. We take it for granted sometimes.
Yeah, well, we can hear all of us.
How about this?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, sorry about that.
Thank you for that.
I'd love to have said it 15 minutes ago. but I'm on the show.
Let me just read you in here. We're going to resurrect and continue the public hearing on number 133 Ocean Ave / Breakwater Inn. This is item number 251002. You can see that's from 10/02, October last year, so happy to have you back.
Always a pleasure.
Would you introduce yourself,
Yes,
please, and remind us why we're here?
Well, I'm John Einsiedler, representing the Breakwater Inn, 133 Ocean Avenue. We're here at this it's a newer proposal, and basically we have the existing guest staff housing, which currently has 6 bedrooms, a living room, a kitchen, and a couple of bathrooms. And trying to figure out exactly what we can do with that building besides having staff housing. And so I met with the town and Galen, basically, and we tried to find a historical use of that structure. And going back to when the Lamberts owned it, they used it as a single-family residence. So we said, okay, the single-family residence has 2 parking places. Now, over the history of the property, that was never really documented as being as part of it. So you look at my parking calculations from December, the last one. That unit does not have any parking or associated with it. So we were trying to say, well, it was a single-family residence. There should have been 2 spaces associated with it. Could we put 2 sleeping rooms and make the staff housing now 2 sleeping rooms, 2 units, and then it's a swap of what was or should have been accounted for, but never was.
Can I stop you for a second?
Yeah.
I'm trying to, how much of this is exactly the same as we talked about last time? I'm looking at,
Well,
the oldest thing I have is from, in front of me at least, is from September 30th. And it says, we're writing to submit a site plan review for what then was called 131 Ocean Ave. The scope includes renovating the staff dwelling into a guest rental. Is this a different staff dwelling that you're talking
Nope,
about now?
it's the same staff it's the same staff housing dwelling.
Yeah,
Back then, we were looking at, I was looking at it as number of keys, and when we got into the ordinance, it's done by sleeping rooms.
you were gonna
And
have
we were
4
proposing,
bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and 1 half bath.
so it was gonna,
Okay,
we were gonna have 4, which really increased the parking, and now we're proposing 2.
okay. Instead of that, all right.
Correct.
Which eliminates how many parking spaces?
Well, would eliminate 2 required.
2 required.
So it's a net difference of 0 if you
If-
take into account that this was a single-family dwelling with 2
Yes.
parking spaces. And so by putting 2 sleeping rooms, they're staying at the 2 parking space requirement.
But it was or wasn't included in the original calculation.
So when this has gone back to the planning board multiple times, and John and I sat through the entire property file to take a look at this, they never calculated those 2 spaces.
This was in 2011, which
Yes.
is the
Yes,
one we've been working against.
they never had the 2 spaces allocated for that single-family dwelling.
So it's a net increase of 2. Not 4 anymore, it's only 2.
It's 2, but they've historically have always had that use has been there as 2 that you needed for that space.
But in the parking accounting that we saw, it wasn't included in there, but the parking still had to exist.
Correct.
So they still needed more spaces.
They did, and they didn't
I'm
have
sorry.
it.
Sorry, I've lost the bubble.
Okay, where
Completely.
you lost, Ed?
What is it you're looking to do that's different here? Are you gonna convert this guest house to have 4 bedrooms or 2?
2 suites,
2 bedrooms?
2 bedrooms, yes.
2 sleeping rooms.
2 sleeping rooms and not 4. So that's one change. That's the change from before. So now you're saying there's a net increase in parking required of 2 spaces. There's not a net reduction, there's a net increase, right?
Well,
No.
Well,
No, you're saying it's always had two.
It's always had two. We just never counted
They
it.
just weren't counted towards the total they had.
Right,
correct.
Leave that part aside for a second. It's just- You're coming in the door the first time to the planning board.
yeah,
You say, hey, guys, I know there was another building down the street, we're not even thinking about that either. We're just talking about this project that I have in mind, to take this building that has been staffed, that historically was a single-family residence with 2 bedrooms, and now I want to change it to guest housing with 2 bedrooms. No, I want to change it to rent, to rooms that I rent.
correct,
I'm gonna rent this building to people who come here for weddings.
correct.
And it's still gonna have 2 bedrooms, that's what it always had. So there's no net increase in parking required. It always required 2 spaces. Whether you presented that to the planning board in 2011 or not, I don't wanna know for a minute anyway. And now I'm coming in the door and I'm saying, here's my change. I'm taking something that always needed 2 parking spaces, and I wanna change it from staff housing, I wanna change it to being rooms that I let out as part of my wedding parties. Still got 2 bedrooms. Are you making any other changes as part of this application, or is that the entirety of it?
That's it,
Just the guest house?
yes.
Why does this seem more complicated than that when I read all this material?
Because we had the properties linked before.
Yeah,
Right now-
unlink them, but even when I unlinked them, it still sounded
Unlike
more
them,
complicated.
I've got a property that apparently has parking,
Well,
and they've
it
got.
had a parking requirement, I
have-
know that.
But they have a part of that building that has 4 bedrooms in it for staff.
Well, right now it has 6.
6? Has lots of bedrooms, but they're gonna convert it into 2
Two.
keys, each one with 2 bedrooms. I don't care how many bedrooms, because it's a key.
No, it's.
No, it's
It's
bedrooms.
two bedrooms.
It's 2 beds.
2 beds,
So, and I know you care about what the.
and I do
what the-
care.
what the
I
ordinance
do
is.
care. But
there's 2.
for doing that, the parking situation is actually decreased. Their need for parking is decreased.
You have 6 bedrooms, you're gonna change it to 2.
Right now,
The
yes.
fact that you didn't have the spaces for the 6, your
Well,
demand has gone down.
Beyond our ken. We don't know about parking on the grassy knoll. We don't know anything.
Well,
All we
know
know
that
is you're
we've-
reducing
that's-
that parking.
Killing them back there in the AV room.
Well, I'm back to where I was at the very, what I can vaguely remember about the very beginning of this, which was, there's a problem, it's really nasty with parking down there, but this is a proposal to reduce that demand.
Or,
No.
or
No.
keep it the same.
No?
Not really in terms of parking, because it was never in.
No, demand only. The demand was always up there, those 6 guys, they were parking over the colony, is what I heard.
They may have been, but they were never counted in the 2011.
Right,
Let me see if I've got this right, because
agree with
Galen has obviously thought through this.
yep.
And with more than 10 minutes worth
Yes.
of work. So when this originally came to us, there was a much larger package that was talking about. We got into, as you well remember, John, getting into counting individual parking spots. And there was contention. If this were a brand-new, let's say that application was gone, but you know, you spent money and you applied and did the work. Let's say you came back in and you said, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna take this one little spot and I'm gonna reduce the number of bedrooms there, but it's in front of the planning board because parking has changed.
It's a change in use, is why it's in
Change in
front of the
use
planning board.
and parking, and so it comes before the planning board, and if we only looked at that and we didn't drag that history along with us like a snail, we would say, well, that potentially makes sense. And I wouldn't want to see that whole parking plan. Is that about what you saw, Galen?
Yes.
That's about what I saw.
Yeah, that this is something that an important part of the community wants to do. It's going to improve what is arguably a very, very challenging parking situation that
And that can
Still
come
has
up-
to be solved in the longer.
That can come out in
in
the
the longer
public hearing.
term.
There are bigger parking problems down in that part of town. But in terms of this particular change, they're changing some locks on some doors and probably putting up some sheetrock. And in terms of what we have to do,
I think I agree, George, this use
And I do not wanna
change
see
is
that
not
parking
going to
diagram
make,
again.
is not going to make the parking
I don't
situation
either.
worse. This use change is going to
I don't have any other
alleviate it. I don't, you have something to say, Peter, I know.
Yeah, I mean, where we
You
left.
don't- you don't like the situation,
Where
and
we
neither-
left the
none of
last
us do.
situation is they took this piece of property off of the two ask originally
right.
because they couldn't address the parking.
Right.
We got to address the parking. Because I think the owner's thought was, well, the town is going to help us through this, and that's not the town's responsibility.
Well, it's not ours either, right?
Well, I don't know.
So,
It was part of the 2011 plan that there were 20 parking spaces which have been converted into a grassy area and are hosting wedding parties.
I think they were a grassy area back in the day.
It may
as
have
well.
been,
I
that's
don't
fine.
know that they
But there were
converted
still 20 parking spaces.
Yeah.
So that they wouldn't have to go and park in the neighbors' lots.
Right. All I'm saying is, we don't know how to solve that. There's no magic wand here. It will require some creative work, and it's not just this building that's got the problem down there. That in the meantime, this is somebody who wants to improve their business, to recharacterize it, and it seems to me that it's come before us because it's flagged as a change in use of a conditional use that's in that area, so we look at it. We're saying, no, this isn't gonna make a bad situation worse. Doesn't solve the
non-conforming.
problem.
Right?
That's right. We're not the police for non-conforming, that's the code office's challenge.
I think it's crazy.
Rick, do you have a thought on this? You're being awfully quiet. Did you shut him off?
No, I'm just listening. I'm just following the conversation, and
Fair enough.
part of me is, we know too much because we've been with this for a while now, right? And we know all of the other issues.
Oh, yeah.
But I also feel like, all right, well, should we pretend we don't know any of that and look at this just at the value of what it is, right?
Well,
But
do you think
I
you
don't
have
know.
to,
It's-
do you have to pretend you don't know, just I think we can't pretend we don't know, we do know. But-
Right,
But again,
right.
our job is to say, is this change of use gonna make things more non-conforming? And it seems to me that it is not.
Right, I think it's a wash.
Doesn't solve the bad problem, doesn't make it worse.
Right. And what are we gonna do about all those buses? No, I'm only kidding.
Oh, my God.
I'm only kidding.
So this is, by the way, this is a continuation of a public hearing. I know the board, we're asking our questions. Peter, do you have any more questions you'd like to ask? George? Rick? Questioned out?
No, I don't have any other questions.
I'd like to open the public hearing then. Is there someone here who'd like to speak to this? At the fire station? No hands here? How about in the Zoom land?
No hands raised.
No hands raised.
Oh, now we have a hand raised.
All right. We asked for it.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, who's on the line?
My name is Paul McTagg. I'm a owner of one of the condo units at the neighboring 135 Ocean Ave.
Okay, I know where you are. Can you say your name again? I didn't quite get that.
Sure, it's Paul McTagg.
Paul?
MC capital TAGUE.
T-A-G-U-E, McTagg. All right. What's on your mind, Paul?
Billy, I've been, by the way, I greatly appreciate what all of you do. And,
Okay.
and I do because, if you can believe it, I've gone through and listened to this from the beginning. But there's one question I have, and I think I understand the, sort of, restrictions on jurisdiction here. But the one thing, there is obviously this parking issue. And just if the topic here is to approve because it doesn't make it worse. As I trace these applications back, it was a combined, 127 Ocean, 133 Ocean.
Right?
The original, and I believe it's, and I hope I don't mispronounce your name, from N. Seidler Architecture. Back in October 23, it's on your record set there. The current use of parking use at 133 totaled 54 spaces. And the original proposal, a little bit different with this, I take it's the same portion of this property that is now going to be 2 units, may have had, I'm sorry, I used the right term, 2 sleeping rooms, may have had more, but the original proposal was to raise it to 59 proposed need for spaces. And when I looked at I think it's February 4th, 2026, the new letter, I believe it says, because I can't put too many things on my screen, I wrote this down, that the current proposed use for parking is 61 with the 25 sleeping rooms, 27 spaces for the restaurant, 7 for staff, and now 2 for the family resident. But that's actually 51. So I will tell you, there is, and we know it, I know it's not this board's really bailiwick or jurisdiction. It's not going to solve a problem that exists up there. But in a way, and not in a way, but if that's true, if what I've just said, from going from an existing use back in that October information of 54 spaces current use to a proposal for 59 to now to 61 on, frankly, a piece of property that has 13 spaces. It actually does increase. It actually makes it, I would say, more non-conforming unless I'm missing something in these documents that I've gone through on your website.
Paul, help me out here. I've
Sure.
seen, I'm with you in terms of the confusion and trying to follow the timeline, which is why I tried to simplify that for myself tonight. What I'm hearing is that nothing's been approved on 133. I have a very simple proposal in front of us. It requires no new sleeping rooms. It actually says that the sleeping rooms that were, that in the November 10th, he said there were 5 new sleeping rooms proposed. John, that's why I was asking about 4, but it says 5. Now I'm hearing there's 2. And if I want to play the history game, it's 2 that have always been there, but it never got counted. So they're trying to take a building that's got 2 bedrooms, had been converted to have 5 bedrooms for staff at some point, off the record, and is now going to be back to officially only having 2
It
sleeping rooms.
It should be considered a swap. I put them in because I know you wanted to have the record of probably what should be there. I could have just said it was a wash and there was no change, but I felt I should put the 2 in because you want to keep track of it and then say, okay, this is.
Well, except that I've
Because it wasn't accounted
lost
for.
track of it. I have so many different.
But I'll do a whole new, parking thing if you want.
I'm not asking for that. In fact, I'm asking if that's going to happen, it should be done in conjunction with something that the town is doing, looking at the larger picture. It just seems like a make-work exercise for something that I've got. You've come and you've sort of bared your soul here. We got somebody, a facility that was newly purchased, it's under new ownership. They're revitalizing the place. This is a creative idea that's not gonna make the parking situation at 133 any worse than it already is. And it is a difficult parking situation. But this, to me, I don't think I'm just pasting this over. I'm trying not to turn a blind eye to what is, I believe is an issue, and I've spoken with the code office and the town manager about it. I think there's a lot of work to be done here, and it's not the subject. We shouldn't hold the revitalization of this property hostage to solving that larger problem, if in fact this is only gonna make it that smallest bit better. My opinion. We don't have any more public. Is there anything in the memo that we need to attend to? I know you,
There was a lot of waivers, but
I think I'm on the hook as the case manager for this. Is that fair?
You are.
Yeah.
Galen, can I ask a question? If this gets approved, does that override any consideration from the 2011 parking plan?
I mean, it goes with every subsequent revision, right, that every board member does approve, that it does impact what was prior approved. But they still have to follow any conditions that were in the previous approvals for findings of fact, unless it's stricken from the record.
When we last had the owner here in December, I think, basically got the 127 approved. I think that was the.
Yep.
And then.
Oh, that's the number.
The instruction was to come back with a plan.
Yep.
That he had to find off-site parking, jitney people in, whether they're employees or guests, or somehow respond to the abutters complaint. And there were abutters in the condo complex, like the caller tonight, and there was obviously the abutters in the colony.
So I think you're seeing what their plan submission is for 133. This is what they could come up with for their site.
We haven't seen anything for 133.
You've seen them revise how many sleeping rooms they were going to have.
They were gonna have 4, now they're having 2.
Correct.
Right.
So it's a
But
net
they were
neutral.
off by 20 spaces before, right?
I'm off now.
I mean, effectively, because they're not using the spaces that were allocated in 2011. So there's a problem.
There's,
The
no,
neighbors are
is there anyone who's arguing that there's not a problem?
This is the opportunity to get it. We sent the owner away saying, come back with a plan. I'm not hearing a plan.
I think my take on that is the owner's doesn't have the wherewithal to solve this problem. It's not all.
Of course he does. He can put cars in the grassy area.
Well, let's look at it this way. What if we deny this? We deny the entire application. They still have 5 sleeping rooms in that spot. Nothing will
good.
change. No one's going to,
Still, it's a non-conforming situation.
and.
It's a code violation, one might argue.
You could argue all those kinds of things. Or it's a town planning office issue, or whatever it is. But that's if we deny it, nothing will happen. It will be as if it never came before the board. If we approve this, it will be a net reduction in parking spaces in an area that doesn't have enough parking spaces.
Well, I would propose as the case manager to write this up, if we approve it, very clearly saying that in the process of this, we've gone through a number of configurations trying to identify the parking and could not find a compliant situation. It doesn't exist.
But the owner said he was happy to put a plan together.
No.
That he had off-site.
So I never heard that he
did.
was happy to put a plan together. I thought I heard he would address the problem. I mean, it's what do we want to hear, right? Does it?
Maybe.
I never believed that this could be solved by the owner of that, given the current situation. No one wants him to pave over those grassed-in areas.
He doesn't have to pay over it, and he was talking about off-site
parking and
I understand.
bringing people in, that he had access to a place for them to park.
So I think until that's addressed as a town issue, that's not gonna happen. I think that all I have the leverage to do here is to say, you're gonna make it a little better. You're not asking for more parking. This process has exposed the fact that there is an overall parking shortage. This chipped away at it, but it did not solve it. That's still an outstanding issue. And that the owner has said that he's going to work with the town and on his own to, over time, make this to better this situation. I don't think it's going to happen as part of this application.
I'm shocked the abutter from across the street's not at the meeting.
The owner has spoken with the colony and there's signage up, there's signage on the website, don't park at the colony, you know, that type of thing. They've been
Yeah,
they're
I think
working on it together.
Some good came out of this. I think some neighborly things are going on.
Are we
but-
still in public hearing?
Yeah, we haven't closed the public hearing.
But I know they've been in contact, and I think that's why he's not here.
Okay.
But to your point, Pete, what I wanted to say was, you said, are we gonna replace the 2011 information with, no, this is now an approved parking plan? I think absolutely not. I don't think we
I
have
just don't know
approved.
legally
We
whether-
are not approving a parking plan here. We're highlighting the fact that they don't have an approved parking plan, but this is a little bit better. And so, yeah, by all means, make this. You can't fix it all. You need to over time. Somehow it's not a planning board issue, but somehow that's gonna have to be addressed. The town is well aware of it now, even if they weren't before. I think that's the best we can do as a planning board.
How is it a planning board issue in 2011 and not today?
I couldn't say. Maybe the application wasn't to just reduce the number of rooms in 2011.
Probably a change of use.
Yes, but what was the change? Were they building something new, or were they? I don't know.
Back then, that was when they changed the restaurant, they got rid of the restaurant and they added the spa.
That's right.
Well, major,
Right.
not just a reduction.
I think, the community has definitely brought to our attention the parking issue. I think the applicant understands that there is a parking issue in this area. It's certainly, I think, something that we're going to consider if there's wedding permit applications that are being submitted for this upcoming year, to make
interesting.
sure that we're not having a parking problem down there. And it's something the code office is going to have to take under advisement if we start seeing that there's issues and they're not using the parking spaces that are clearly on their plan.
We shined a light on it, that's for sure. Rick, you're notably quiet on this. Are we ready to close the public hearing?
Just listening.
So I would move to, are y'all comfortable with closing the public hearing?
Yes.
So I'm gonna close the public hearing at this point. And now I would move to approve this application. Do we have a second?
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm not.
3-1.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. And I'll write up findings from this. I think we had a good dialogue here. I think it was worth our time looking at this as a town. I'm sure it was frustrating for you, and appreciate your patience.
No, it happens all the time.
And I'm sure we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
When it first came before us, I was upset that we were looking at both properties together. In the end.
It's getting dim. Can we take just a moment for a restroom break? Thanks. Excuse me. All right, we're back. For the third of the three items on the menu is number 251203 Snapdragon Lane.
Hi, good evening. Mr. Chair, members of the board, thanks for having us back. We were here last month on the 7th to introduce this project to you, and tonight we're scheduled for a public hearing. I'll give sort of a high-level summary for the public because it is a public hearing.
Remind us who you are.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Just
I
for
should have
the
done that
record.
first. My name's Mike Tadema-Wieland. I'm a civil engineer with Teradyne Consultants, and Howard Schultz is my client who I'm here representing in the middle here. He's the owner and developer of this project. Mr. Angelos, to Howard's right, is a property owner that's involved in a land swap that's going to create this parcel where the proposed private road is on. And then to Howard's left is his son Ben, who will hopefully benefit from this project being constructed. So the project site is on Goose Rocks Road. It's just shy of 25 acres in size. And ultimately, Mr. Schultz's goal, Howard and his wife's goal, is to create several lots for their 3 children to build houses and create kind of a family type neighborhood. The lot creation is planned for a few years down the road. Lots, at this point, lots that are gifted to an immediate family member, including a child, are exempt from subdivision law. So these 3 or 4 lots can be created without triggering subdivision review. However, that can't happen for 5 years because that with this current land swap, that sort of resets the clock for subdivision law, which says if you're creating 3 or more lots within a 5-year period, you're triggering a subdivision. So I know that's might be confusing. It's confusing to me, but needless to say, the town attorneys looked at it, Galen's looked at it, and I think everyone agrees that new lots can't be created for another 5 years or so. So ahead of that, Mr. Schultz is proposing to build a private road, and that private road will serve to create frontage for these future lots. And so that's the proposal before you. This is Snapdragon Lane, and so it's a 50-foot wide right-of-way with a 20-foot wide traveled width. That's designed in accordance with section 240-614 of the Land Use Code. Again, this isn't subject to the road standards in the subdivision ordinance, but there are road standards in the Land Use Code that this road follows. It's about 1,100, a little over 1,100 linear feet in length. It terminates in a hammerhead, as you can see, which was again designed in accordance with the Land Use Code. The one deviation from the road standards that we asked for a waiver on is a steepening of the side slopes where we cross wetlands. And so when a road is built in fill, obviously you've got to slope back down to the existing grade. Typically that slope is a 3-to-1. When we're crossing a wetland, we like to steepen that up to 2-to-1 in order to reduce the footprint of wetland impact and therefore reduce the amount or reduce the area of impacts to those wetlands. So there's just a short stretch at the beginning of the road where that waiver is requested. Since we were here last, the stormwater design and report went to Acorn Engineering, who acts as the town's consulting engineer. Acorn came back to Galen and then ultimately us with some comments and questions on the stormwater report. We responded. We made a couple changes at their suggestion, very small changes. We've added some stone check dams in the ditch next to the road. That's an erosion control measure. So as the water's running down in these roadside ditches, those stone check dams slow the water down and help reduce the likelihood of erosion. And the other thing we did, another question related to the stormwater calculations resulted in a slight increase in size of a level spreader that's located on the left side of the road. I'm sorry, on the right-hand side of the road as you're coming in, and that drains to a stormwater buffer. But other than those two minor changes, nothing has changed since we were here back in January.
I also noticed that Acorn was comfortable with your responses.
Yes, we did. Ultimately, we received a memo where they acknowledged that their comments have been
I felt like the
addressed.
loop was closed.
Yep,
Yeah.
I believe so too. And then the only other update I would give is that the DEP has issued the NERPA permit, NRPA permit for those wetland impacts at the beginning of the road. So the Army Corps has been notified of the impacts as well, but other than that, we believe that permits have been granted. The necessary permits have been granted for this. I'm happy to answer any questions regarding design of the road or anything else related to this project, and we're happy to hear from the public on this as well. So thank you for your time.
I have one question. I know there are no building lots on here right now.
Yeah.
The road is over 1,000 feet. Does the fire chief need to weigh in on that?
So the fire chief, Galen, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the fire
Yeah.
chief has looked at this
He has.
and reviewed the hammerhead
I
dimensions.
presume they had, but thank
Yeah.
you. And there are no utilities on here?
There are no utilities, no, other than electrical service.
My only question relates to a cul-de-sac versus a hammerhead, and we talked a little bit about that a couple weeks ago. Not necessarily with respect to this property, but just in general, that the cul-de-sac was the preferred termination versus a hammerhead, and I know hammerheads are permitted within the land use ordinance in certain instances, but is this one that begs for with four building lots on it, begs for a cul-de-sac instead?
What's interesting, I'd be curious on that too, because during my tenure was the first time that I had heard about hammerheads, and I thought there was a preference for the hammerhead, or certainly it wasn't a secondary, seen as a secondary solution. So that,
Yeah, our fire chief generally, he supports hammerheads. I mean, he's seen a lot of site plan review applications for multiple dwellings on a premise, and because this is intended to be for single-family lots, he thinks that's a reasonable preference for him. In larger subdivisions where you have like 30, plus, and you have waste collection services, a lot more folks on the road, you might want
so
to
that
have
would be
that.
an advantage, yeah.
Okay.
Good
I don't have a
question.
problem with it, I just,
Good
it's just kind
question. Oh.
of resolving that in my own mind.
I could tell you a little bit about why we chose a hammerhead. I mean, it results in less impervious area, number one, it's much smaller. And cul-de-sacs can be a useful tool for design when you're locating lots around them, because it creates more road frontage.
Yeah.
But where you're not doing that, it's kind of just more, it just kind of creates more.
Can be wasteful.
More of an area that is unnecessary, so.
Rick, do you have any questions?
No, I think this looks good to me.
Do you want to hold this?
Until after the public hearing, yep.
Oh.
After the public hearing, we can discuss
I
that.
thought we didn't want to close the public hearing, right, this pending.
Yes.
Okay. So I will open the public hearing then, or is there anyone here in the audience that would like to speak? Wow, we have two hands. Several people. Please introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Steve Kerson. My wife, who is also present tonight, and I purchased the property at 285 Goose Rocks Road this past September of 2025. The proposed Snapdragon Lane would abut right up against the left side of our property on the Goose Rocks Road looking at our house. We understand, first of all, we appreciate the opportunity to make some comments with respect to the application for the road. And we understand that development may occur, and we are not against that, but want to ensure that the board has sufficient information to make required findings under Chapter 240, and that the impact to our property is minimized as much as possible as required by ordinance. A big thing that really attracted us to our house was the rural nature of the property, with trees surrounding both sides and rear of the property. Now we are very concerned about losing the majority of those trees on the left side of the house. Thus, much of our comments pertain to that specific issue. First, I'd like to make...
Steve, before you go further, can you, on this map that's in front of, if you look up here, can you just point to whereabouts we're talking about your home would be?
No, your
Your
house,
home.
Steve, your house has got to be to the left of the driveway, right?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, that'll help us put your comments in context for us, yeah.
So first I'd like to make a comment on the proposed waiver of the tree identification and existing physical features mapping requirement. Section 240 requires the application for a site review plan to include all physical features on the site and within 200 feet thereof, including streams, watercourses, existing woodlands, existing trees at least 8 inches in diameter as measured, and 4.5 feet above grade. The applicant has requested a waiver of this requirement. The property is heavily wooded, and the proposed road runs directly along the boundary of our property. Without identification of significant trees and a clearly defined limit of disturbance, it is unclear whether clearing is being limited to the minimum required or whether existing vegetative screening could be preserved along the abutting boundary. So we respectfully request that the board deny the waiver for tree identification and require a defined limit of disturbance so that vegetative screening can be evaluated and preserved where feasible. Second, I'd like to make a comment on the proposed waiver of a landscaping and buffering plan. The ordinance requires a landscaping and buffering plan showing what will remain and what will be planted. A waiver has been suggested because the applicant has indicated in a memo to the board that the intention is not to cut beyond the 20 feet of road width within the 50-foot right-of-way. However, the applicant's plan itself, as far as we could tell, does not show a vegetative buffer or no disturbance strip along the shared boundary. So there's no safeguard or guidelines against cutting to the full right-of-way width. Additionally, it appears a stream crosses the right-of-way, which is visible on the town's GIS map, but is not shown in the applicant's plan. We would request that all necessary zoning regulations are met, permits obtained, and full environmental impact of the stream is considered. We believe the landscaping and buffering plan is necessary as environmental impact may be greater than the applicant's plan indicates, leaving the ultimate impact of the project to our property less certain. Given all the above, we respectfully request that the board deny the waiver of a landscaping and buffering plan and require a vegetative no disturbance buffer along the boundary with existing residential property rather than waive this requirement. And then finally, we'd like to make a comment on construction management and timing protections. The staff memorandum notes that construction, parking, and loading have not been addressed. We respectfully request that the board require a clearly marked and staked limit of disturbance, tree protection fencing along the abutting residential boundary, restrictions on equipment staging near property lines, construction limited to reasonable weekday hours such as 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., and no Sunday construction consistent with community standards. These conditions are commonly imposed and would help minimize disruption to existing residential properties during construction. We appreciate the board's time. Again, our goal is not to prevent development, but to ensure that it proceeds in a manner that minimizes impact to existing residential property consistent with Chapter 240. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Michael, is your preference to address this at this minute, or do you want to hear from all of the public and then come back?
I think I'd prefer to hear. I'd like to hear everybody.
Yeah, okay. Yes, ma'am.
Hi there, I'm Wendy Murphy, and I'll point out to you where I live, but thank you for the opportunity to address you folks, and we would want to welcome you to the neighborhood, of course. I actually am part of a family that used to own pretty much the entire Stone Road and Goose Rocks Road. So I'll show you where I live.
You're looking at Stone Road, and you're right across the street.
Right across the street.
Goose Rocks. Okay, so, Goose Rocks.
You're across the road.
Stone Road. I'm over here.
Yep, that's your property.
Okay, so I reside where there's an airstrip, and Galen, I've actually spoken with you a little bit about our property. Our property also is, it has gone through probate, and it is also going to be sold probably this year. So this affects us as well, and I'm kind of wondering, the wetland study that was done, whether or not there was any kind of study that showed an impact to our property, which is directly across from where you're hoping to put the road in. So that water that comes from that side of the road feeds onto my property and onto, so this is 284 and 286 Goose Rocks Road. And so I am 25A, and my folks have that was my folks' house, the larger lot. So that's the runway and the 34 acres that currently is directly across from where they're hoping to put the road in. So I'm just wondering, in this study, was there any inclusion on how altering or working within the wetlands there, how that would affect how it comes across the road and feeds directly into where the hydrant is and the other two ponds that are on our property? And those ponds, there's been some confusion about those ponds. The last realtor discussed with the town, the planning board, that it was a man-made pond. It is not a man-made pond. It is a natural pond that's fed from the brook across the road, and it was widened a bit to be more of a kind of a skating pond for kids, and so it was altered a bit way back, but it's a natural fed pond, and it feeds a brook that runs the whole length of our property. So I'm a beneficiary of the larger lot, and then I'm a homeowner that is directly across from these folks. So I just wanted to ask if any impact to the wetland has been addressed to see how it might affect the property across the road. And then I'm also just concerned, and I think this is something that's going to have to be addressed down the road, because you're not even looking to build right away, but because of what they're looking to do, what is potentially going to happen on our property, and the other building that's going on in the neighborhood, we have 40-mile-per-hour speed limits on both ends, but we are the part of Goose Rocks Road that is has the most hidden driveways. It's the curviest part of Goose Rocks Road, aside from way down where Steele's is, where you come around the corner, the bend around the corner before you hit the Arundel Road. So I think that there needs to be some kind of impact on the speed limit, and I know that that is handled by the state, by the DOT, but it starts here. It's not something I can put in, but I'm hoping that at some point you'll address the fact that you know, when you're going to have all these trucks on the side of the road, people building, I already have a very hard time pulling out of my driveway. So you add large trucks to that mix, people doing a lot of construction. I just think that that needs to be addressed at some point.
Can I just ask you for a second?
Of course.
I understand that large trucks will be involved in building the road.
Right.
What's the construction that you're talking about?
The construction of the road.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yeah. I mean, once that road starts to be constructed and culverts or cul-de-sacs, any building that's, you've got trucks coming in and out constantly. We already have trucks that, I mean, 40 means 50 in the summer. We have trucks, we've had a lot of accidents right around the corner from our house, and we've had a couple of deaths. So I just, at some point, I think that we need to look at the speed limit in that area that's going to become more congested. And then my only other concern really is just, like I said.
I'm sorry, congested because of the construction of the road?
More houses, more people living in that area.
Oh, I see.
More people coming and going from their driveways. It's already, the line of sight is not good. You're coming up from the clock farm, you're coming towards this area, towards our homes, and you're already coming up around a bend, and the line of sight is not great. But then on the other end, you've got people coming down that road rather quickly. And you're right there where the Stone Road comes right into Goose Rocks Road. So there's just a lot of activity that's going to be going on there as these homes are built, as other people are building on our property. And this isn't something that needs to be addressed now, but I'm asking, is this something that you will look into? Speed limits in that area as you come into this more less visibility coming into our driveways. I mean, it was so bad that I had to have my children picked up on my side of the road. The school district wanted them to cross the street. They refused to cross the street. They won't put in mailbox is on our side of the street. So it is an issue. There's a line of sight issue.
I know that
And I'm
right-
just asking that
Right
at
now,
some point we
we
look
would
at the
ask,
speed limit.
is there sufficient line of sight where that road cut is made?
Which of course is absolutely up to them to study. I'm not gonna get into.
Right.
I don't have an issue with that.
Now,
I only
as-
want everyone to be safe.
As
and-
homes are added on your side of the road and this side of the road, that isn't something that would come to the planning board. I don't know how that process works. How are speed limits evaluated as densities change and the like?
Yeah.
It doesn't come here. I don't know.
I was just told that it comes from the municipality to the DOT. It has to come from
Yeah.
this municipality first.
It depends if it's a town or state road. So we'd have to figure out what Goose Rocks actually is, and I know we could find out.
Yeah, so I'm just a little concerned about, more inquisitive, I suppose,
Yeah, no,
about
it's
the wetland situation and whether the study that was done shows any impact to the wetland coming into the field and how it feeds the brook that goes down the whole length of the field. And it feeds 2 ponds. So, again, not man-made ponds. And that's the little river that feeds in over there and comes under and across the way. So anyway, that's all I have. Thank you for your time. And hopefully this is something we can address going forward. All right, thank you.
I think we have another.
Hi, my name is Nancy Almond, and I live at 289 Goose Rocks Road. Let me see if I can orient myself with this map. Okay, so I'm right here, then.
All right.
And I do want to talk about this so afterwards, but I think this gentleman addressed it. I know, and I met yesterday with Galen and Nadia. They answered a bunch of my questions, which was awesome. Thank you. And I'm wondering if there's any scenario when they wouldn't have to wait the 5 years to grant their 3 family lots.
Help?
So, I guess the only other way that would happen is if they would go through subdivision process. They don't have to wait 5 years then.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
But at that point, would the road already be built?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I think he answered it. So it's a 50-foot right-of-way, but the road is only, the gravel road is only 20 feet, I think. Yeah. So that's cool. Are there going to be any planned open spaces? I was wondering about that.
Well, again, you're talking about when the lots are formed.
Right, I guess so,
Right.
right,
You know,
it's too
that's-
soon.
That's what's that's what's awkward about this not being a subdivision review.
Right.
I know.
And not knowing where the lots are.
Right, I know there's some speculation about where they could possibly be and where they can't possibly be and
Right.
that, but no, you don't have that at this point.
Okay,
And it makes it tough. I know it made it tough for the stormwater review and Teradyne had to make some, like they added in some possibilities in terms of to compensate for the fact
Right.
that they didn't have the exact,
Right.
there's an
We
allowance.
appreciate that,
An
yeah.
allowance was given.
right.
Considering that there definitely will be, but that precision isn't in front of us right now.
Okay. The other thing is maybe this can't be either, but there are some big ridges on the property with some high elevations and slopes. Does the applicant plan do they blast through those ridges, which would be like so much change to the area, or do they go around it for the road and the lots? I had that question. And finally, the applicant had an attachment with a tax map. So my house is here. This, on the other side, this is Carl Pepin.
One of the things that happens is no one in the Zoom can hear you now.
You can take the microphone with you.
You can grab that, yeah.
You can sing.
Yeah, well,
Please
no, you don't want
It-
that. You do not want
That's
that.
happened before, it's awful.
So, so there's their proposed on this side, but they had a tax map that had a line here and going over like they were gonna use on my side. And I believe Galen told me that, Mr. Angelos has maybe a 50-foot right-of-way on both sides. It's been my husband and I, understanding that this was a paper road, and I've kind of done some preliminary research, I'm gonna have to do more, but this is in, Helene, sitting back there, sold Carl this, and she has a plan that she did back in the 90s, and this is on my deed, like, it's 33 feet, and it's got like some coordinates on both sides, 33, 15, 18 on both sides. And the other thing with this lot is,
You say it's on your deed, but it's alluded to, it's not part of your property.
no, it's on my deed that I.
Did
think-
you own it?
I think so, yes.
Oh,
And,
okay. Interesting.
so there's, the Goose Rocks Road also used to be here, and they moved it back in the 50s, I guess, I'm not sure exactly when. And so Wendy's dad.
Yeah, that's actually listed in one of my deeds.
Yes, so Wendy's dad was kind enough to give Helene the rights, like, because I couldn't get clear title because of this little strip of land that, you know, they were saying it was the Goodrich's across the street, or was it ours? And so Albert Goodrich, again, was really nice and gave that to Helene, who gave it to me. She granted that to me. And what was the other thing, Helene? Oh, and at the end of that deed, it says, meaning and conveying all of the road, that her part of it, and before 1958. So I'm gonna have to like have an attorney or somebody look at it. I just wanna put it on record, only because, like I said, they had a tax map that maybe they discovered it, I don't know. So I just want to put it on record that that's iffy. And my other question was, is there any scenario when you would need two driveways? And then you'd come looking at this, you know, and that's what I'm worried about.
I'm trying to just be a little more precise with my understanding. You're saying that this
Paper road.
rectangular section at the top part of the map that's shown as being part of the lot that is the subject of this application
Right.
is in fact also on your deed. It's not part of this lot. It's part of a different
I
lot.
was pointing in the wrong place. Actually, it's on the old road, that place that Wendy's dad gifted to me, goes across this, what we thought was a paper road, which I think now is extinguished.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's not
I'm
the
sorry, I
paper.
was pointing in the wrong space.
No, no.
I don't know if it goes over does it go over to Carl's too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it does go on Carl's land too, but it definitely goes on mine. Like, the old road is there.
I'm confused about what you're telling me.
How can I?
You're not saying that the lot that they're showing there is also is owned by you, any
No,
part of it?
No,
You're
sorry.
saying that on your deed,
Yes,
there is a road,
this, 33 feet, they're calling it a road. And I looked up the back deed from Carl Adams, and it's like old-fashioned road language. Someone would have to,
I'm
I can,
I'm trying to sort this, I'm trying to just use questions to
Okay.
understand what you're trying to tell me here.
okay,
You just did again, you ran your pen up and down the red section.
Right.
That section is part of the lot that is in this
They-
application.
do you think you have 250-foot right-of-ways? That's a question for you.
I do have 250.
Yeah, I mean, ask the applicant, does any of this ring a bell? Are
You need to come up to the mic.
you familiar?
What I'll say is, Teradyne Consultants has done a boundary survey, our surveyors have done a boundary survey of this, and we have a stamped boundary survey. So we've done a lot of the research on this. I'm curious, and I wanna go back and look at that and ask my surveyor about this. And hopefully there's a,
Like, look at mine, and you'll see
Yeah.
that 33, and it goes back to my dad's deed, and then it goes back to Carl Adams.
yeah.
and-
So I'll take your name and maybe email and maybe ask you some.
Cool.
Is there a possibility there are two separate right-of-ways, one on your property, which is not shown on this, and that there's a right-of-way here on that little strip?
I don't know. We only surveyed the subject.
But
Parcel.
based on your survey on the existing deed for this property, it shows that little strip there.
Yes, and it's 50 feet wide.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so there is a potential that your property abutting it likewise has a right-of-way, but it is not that strip. It's actually
Well,
parallel to it. That's possible.
so I think Mike is proposing a rational way forward here to take that information and,
And like, Blaine did a plan, and that's what, and it's named. in
Could you use the microphone?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm sorry. There is a plan from Helene, and it shows this, like, it's in line deed, like I said, 33 feet, and it has like 16, 55, 18 on this side, and it has 16, 55, 18 on this side. So, I mean, our driveway is right next to it as well.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so we've always thought it was a paper road, and now we thought it was extinguished.
You're willing to take a look, I think.
But at this point, you don't even want to use my road. So I'm just being worried that, you know, it's really close to my house and my property.
Okay, but just to be clear, at this point, no one's proposing to put a road
Correct.
up there
Other
either.
than there was a
but-
tax map with a little
Sure.
line that said that in their application. That's what flagged it for me.
Understood?
Yep.
Yeah, no,
Yep.
now's the time to sort it, but.
Right.
yeah.
So that was it. I'm sorry. I think that's it. That's it.
That's enough.
Yeah,
That was
right.
good. Just, Wendy wanted a rebuttal here or just an addendum.
I don't know if this is gonna help or if it's gonna be painful.
Just a moment. Let's get
Yeah,
everybody.
So, back in 19...
Wendy, just a moment. I need to get
Oh,
everyone quieted
sorry.
down first. Okay, please.
Back in 1966, I have a warranty deed that has my grandfather, my father on it, and I thought perhaps you might want to take a look at that. I think that's where it comes from, that I actually thought the town took a piece of that property that we're talking about out in front by eminent domain because they had to move the road. So my dad, you know, he had his nice moments, but giving away property wasn't something he would normally do, right, Chris?
No.
So, you
Okay.
can pay for it.
So
But
you're
anyway,
offering to
Ye-
make that information
Yeah,
available,
I
is what
mean,
I'm.
sure, it
I'm-
would be in the, yeah, but there's quite a few deeds. And
Okay.
I think that might clear up some confusion, that might be available to you.
Okay.
Because there was some weird stuff going on out in front of Carl's, and then, of course, the almonds now. And I don't think it affected you a whole lot, Helene, but almond. It certainly is something that the Werties brought up, which is whose house these folks are now living in. So it did, that property,
Is this worrying you guys?
Gotta come to the microphone, please.
No, I
yeah, and
understand.
so I'm gonna stop it there, but I
Yes,
wanted to
please.
let you know that there is a warranty deed that might help clear up something.
Right, and to be clear, I understood your concern to be along the proposed road, which does abut your property, and you're worried about,
It's more of a vegetation buffer for us. It's not,
Vegetation.
we're not against the development or the houses or any of that stuff. It's
you don't
just
think they're
more-
building on your land?
Well, not on us, but just a nice buffer of trees so we're not
Understood.
constantly seeing cars going back and forth. That's all.
I think you did a good job explaining that, thank you.
You have a hand raised
There's
on
more
that.
here, yes, there is. Yeah, I think so. Mr. D'Angelo?
Okay, Chris D'Angelo's, and a butter in Howard mentioned that we are proposing a land swap. I'd just like to have everyone understand that with this acceptance of his proposal for his family, I'm gonna deed restrict 23 acres back there against roads, houses, motorized vehicles, logging, so it'll remain in its natural state. That's 23 acres.
Where is that?
You wanna show me?
So, okay, I'm gonna.
Oh, yeah,
Need
right.
a microphone.
This,
Hold
all
on.
of this.
Microphone for
So-
both.
So the blue line, the blue outline here is the subject property. That's what ultimately.
After the land
Schultz-
swap.
Exactly, after the land swap. The,
We just rotated this,
yeah,
it's just
exactly.
90
yeah.
degrees, but yeah, okay.
The orange shaded piece is what the Schultzes currently own.
So where's the 33 that we're gonna deed restrict? 23, excuse me.
So it'll be this section, see where it's crossed?
Yeah,
This section and all of this will be deed restricted.
Does that mean open spaces?
Opens, there's, the way it is now, the way it's gonna be
not to
forever.
develop.
No roads, no building, no motorized vehicles. I don't want any of my descendants thinking they're gonna run dirt bikes out there.
That's what I used to do.
Who knows? That's what she used to do before I bought
Is there
it.
any right-of-way access to that property?
I own 10 acres in here, so you could access it from my
But
property.
is there any deeded right-of-way back there? I'm thinking future, like the Conservation Trust or anything like that. Was there any access to that, or it's completely locked in by your other property?
My property.
Okay.
But I don't want anybody, after I'm
don't want
not
any
watching
right-of-way.
it, to decide they want to put a road, because I have my house about here, decide, and there's a road up to it, decide to put a road here or even develop in here.
You bet. Got it.
Sure.
Just change the mics, swap the mics.
So originally, this is the Schultz's, and this was all yours, and you swapped and gave him some of this? Or you swapped and gave him this? The orange is the Schultz's and the whites was yours?
Yes, and I bought from Jane Millard this property, and just by the way, these are not right-of-ways, it's owned property. These are not right-of-ways.
Right.
It's owned. So I bought about 34 acres and then approached Howard about swapping some of his property so he could put his, I mean, it's 25 acres, he's gonna put 4 houses or so out there.
So there will be some open space.
4 or 5, right?
4 is the.
4, and then you have, in your letter, it says that you have the ability after 5 years to split it and sell another one, I read somewhere? That you could take your piece of land, or you might take your piece of land and sell a portion of it.
That's correct.
Yeah, so it could be 5. It could be 5 houses.
No, it's 4, he has 3 kids.
Right, but then you've got 4, but you have the ability to split your 4th one to 5. That's not how I misinterpreted it.
Microphones, folks.
My understanding is that I can continue to split it every 5 years
Yes.
forever, which is not our plan. So the plan is, over time, to have a maximum of 4 houses.
Subject to the maximum lot size, to the minimum required lot size, which may change at some point. So can we go back to having one person at a time grabbing the microphone? This is fun, but, you know.
And, you know, we do want to respect everybody's boundaries and open space and keep it as natural as possible, but that's, you know, I hope that keeps people happy, that's the amount of land that'll be deed restricted. I mean, I think this balances growth and conservation, which, you know, I think is important for our town.
Absolutely. Mike, yeah, if you put that back up, that'd be great.
I just wanted to know about open.
Can you introduce yourself, please?
Oh, I'm Helene Lewand, and I'm 2 properties away from that road. I used to own that piece of property that you guys are in now. It's a flippin' beautiful piece of property, so what I, and I
Can you
didn't
speak
wanna
to the
s-
microphone?
I
Yeah.
didn't want to sell it, but I did sell it, I
Yeah.
had to.
Understood?
I'm wondering about any open space, like in the future. Do you have that delineated, or? I mean, you might not.
I'll address all this.
Okay. Howard Schultz. My wife and I are owners of the part of the property, but we would be owning the entire parcel after a land swap is effected. The question was about open space, and it's our intention to, again, over time, to put a maximum of 4 houses on the property. And there's a good deal of that property that is wetlands, that either can't or shouldn't be built on. And we are anticipating, and we are a long way from being able to know what lots will be created in this property, but we anticipate that there'll be quite a bit of open space.
Elaine, is that what you were looking for? I mean, the plans aren't real yet, but that's the intention of the owner to see here.
I mean, the only reason I ask really is because we have an organic farm below all of where people are building around us. So I like to kind of make sure that groundwater, et cetera, is not impacting the farm, which grows.
Well, I know if you were to build a single-family residence in that zone right now, it's going to be required to have 20% open space. Is that correct?
For subdivisions?
No.
If you're single-family home in
Single-family
that district,
residence.
has to have,
So it's 20%
Yeah.
is,
that's
has to be
10,000.
preserved. Yep.
10,000.
So, you know, by ordinance, any subdivision or not, they gotta have that, so that's the minimum requirement there.
Okay.
It sounds like with the wetland situation, that's not gonna be difficult to achieve. It's gonna be fun to get the 4 lots that they want, I think. One more, Wendy, you have one more thing to add?
Yeah, very quickly.
We still want to,
I think this might affect all of us going forward, but I heard somewhere through the grapevine that there may be some switching up of terminology for free enterprise and farm and forest. So I'm farm and forest on my side, you're free enterprise, right? So I understood that there was this last year, a proposal to maybe change some of the vocabulary in the towns, in the works. I was told that might come back around. I'm just wondering if that's going to affect
how would that affect us?
Well, it would certainly affect me going forward on our side,
What
but I
word-
didn't know.
What terminology is used? How would that affect this application?
Okay, so right now, farm and forest and free enterprise, they are essentially the same thing. There are no, I have to have 3 acres. They don't have to have 3 acres, but somebody can come in and build a fish plant on my property just as well as on theirs.
So the uses are different.
Right, so I'm asking, is it still in the works to change some vocabulary, or some, I guess vocabulary is not the way to, the regulations.
Uses, yep.
The
Yeah.
usage of farm and forest versus free enterprise. Is that something that's still in the works? Is that, it's a bit outside of this,
A bit.
their purpose, but I think it could affect, okay, but it could affect them down the
Well-
road when they're trying to build, and it certainly can affect me on my side. And
Sure.
so it's just a question. You have the right to tell
Absolutely.
me to come back
at the
another
right,
day.
But I don't think that it's something that is in front of the planning board. We're not, the planning board doesn't look at that. The growth planning committee does do that.
Right,
So they meet on Tuesdays, the first
Okay.
and third Tuesdays of the month.
and that's where to take my question.
That's where the land use
Okay.
Well,
ordinance
and
changes.
again, I think it would be opportune to talk to them now, before the decision is made and you say, what the heck
Yeah,
was
I
going
mean, it
on?
affects all of us really going forward if things
Sure.
are changed, so, okay,
No, it's
thank
really
you.
important to the town, what
Okay.
uses are allowed
And
and
I just
where,
have to
and-
say, I would have been a little bit more prepared, but I was not in the mailing. I did not get this information on anything that was being built or being proposed by Howard and his wife. I'm directly across the street, and yet I never got that letter. So I called and I got this one, but I would have been a little bit more prepared when it came to the wetland on my property, so that I could address that better for you and.
So you think you weren't listed as on the abutters list? Or
I
that
know
the
I
mail
was,
went?
I know
or
I
the mail
wasn't.
went
I
awry?
called and I got
You weren't on
added
the
to it.
list?
Yes, that's true. I got added to it. So I am a beneficiary of my parents' estate, as well as two of my sisters. My parents didn't get it. I managed the property. They didn't get it.
Okay.
And I'm not complaining about that. I have it now. I'm just telling you, when it comes to the wetland language and all of that, I would have been more prepared, and I would have shown up to the last meeting had I been. But that
Well, the
is
good
not to
news
throw
is
anyone under the bus.
The good news
I'm
is,
here
this
now.
is the preliminary application, there will, no, this,
Yeah, and I have no
this is-
problem with
okay.
things going
This is-
forward. I
this is
just
the
would like to
fine-
know the
forget what I just
impact
said.
of the wetland and how it could
It's not a
affect sediment
subdivision.
and all of that.
Not yet.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, thank you again.
thank
I
you,
won't come back.
thank you, Wendy. Is there anyone else here that wishes to be heard? Is there anybody online?
Yes,
How many hands raised, David?
one.
Can you allow them to speak,
Jeffrey?
please?
Can you speak?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hi, excellent. Thanks. I appreciate your time. So my name is Jeff Becko. I am in a butter on Tiller Ridge, which is just off of Stone Road. I just have a couple of sort of clarification questions. I'm curious as to the rationale for getting approval for and building a road now if no division of the land can take place for 5 years. So that means this swath that will be cutting through the woods and creating what may be a eyesore for many is going in long before there's actually a need for the road. And I'm just curious as to the thinking behind that. And then secondly, a question was asked earlier about whether there may be any way for that necessity of waiting 5 years to subdivide might be avoided. And the answer was that if a decision was made to turn it into a subdivision. So we're seeking approval for a road that doesn't meet subdivision standards, by my understanding, being put in and designed well before there's any consideration of where exactly the lots are going to go. And it seems like it's putting the cart before the horse a little bit. And I'm just wondering if there is a possibility of switching to a subdivision approach here, what that would mean with the road that's going to be built now, if that would need to be somehow upgraded or changed or altered. And it's just, again, this is a fairly significant disruption to the local community and the abutters and the neighbors. And I'm just sort of curious as to the approach here.
Okay. We'll let Michael speak to that as well. Yeah. Anyone else need to be heard, wish to be heard in the Zoom land?
No other hands raised.
All right.
All right. Great discussion, I think, and
A lot of it.
very cordial and appreciative. I'll go down through my list. I'll probably kick some of these to Howard. The last one will be one of those.
Are you doing these in any particular order?
I was gonna do them in the order they came in, so I
Thank you.
was gonna start with the Kersons. So, the Kersons property abuts this 50-foot wide swath where the road will be located. I'm gonna go
You get the other chart up.
to this road plan.
Oh, go.
And so, even though it's only a 20-foot wide road, there are, like we talked about before, there are slopes on the side of it. And I don't know if there's ditching along that stretch. No, there's no ditching along there because the road's up in a fill condition. But, of course, the clearing limit will be wider than 20 feet just because you can't have a tree right next to the road. So,
How wide is the property at that?
50 feet, so it's exactly 50-foot wide strip of land.
Hence
So-
the concern.
So hence the concern. So there is likely limited opportunity to create a robust buffer there. And I think Howard agrees, it would be nice to save as many trees as possible there. And we have asked for a waiver from from locating significant trees larger than 8 inches. But Howard and I just talked, I think it probably makes sense to locate them through that stretch for sure, to see if some can be saved through there, particularly on the side of the Kerson's side. Additional, a buffer and landscaping plan. Again, the plan here is to avoid cutting down as many trees as possible. So there's no proposed additional planting, right? This is a forested area, so it's to leave as many trees as possible and leave those forested areas in their natural condition.
Michael, are there trees on both sides of that 50-foot right-of-way right now? 50-foot property?
So that whole 50-foot swath is forested, yeah.
It's in the middle of a forested section.
A 50-foot forested
You take this out,
swath.
it's not gonna be,
Exactly.
you're not gonna see a field on one side, you're just gonna see trees, it's just a matter of,
Correct.
so you'll definitely see the road,
I think,
but you
without
won't
doubt,
see
yeah.
further than the road.
And it's 16-foot gravel,
20.
20-foot gravel?
Gravel.
Centered in the 50.
Correct. As for the construction management plan, or how are construction vehicles and equipment managed? Before this project goes to construction, typically we hold a pre-construction meeting with planning, with Galen, with the contractor. We don't know who's going to build this road yet. Howard hasn't put it out to bid yet because we don't have approval yet, but the way that will work is hopefully we'll get approval to build the road. Howard will send those plans out to a couple contractors, ultimately select one to build the road, and that person will be present at this pre-construction meeting, and that's usually when we talk about meeting all the standards of the town related to construction, which is construction timeframe. And Galen, can you remind me if there is a construction start and end?
We do, it's 7 AM to 9, I believe.
Yeah, so.
They exempt, that's in our sound provisions, but it exempts construction for single, like for houses, like that's.
For a house, but not for a road, not for construction of a road, right?
9 PM, did you say?
Yes, let me verify that, just to.
Summertime.
Yeah. And so what I would say is there are provisions in the ordinance today that govern sort of construction activity. And we all sit down with the plans at this pre-construction meeting, and we go over those, and we go over other things like make sure there's a contact number posted on the site, and make sure there's, you know, direct line of communication between the contractor on site and the code enforcement officer or planning office, you know, so that those sort of things that manage, or that sort of determine how the construction activity goes are hashed out and discussed. First of all, they're regulated in the ordinance in a lot of cases, and then discussed and sort of confirmed in that pre-construction meeting.
So blasting is only allowed between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., and then other noises created from construction activities is from 7 to 10.
As a practical matter,
It would be dark.
do you see this project, this road construction, having the urgency that's gonna have people work those hours?
Till 9 or 10 p.m. I wouldn't think so, but
I'm just trying to imagine it, that's all.
I've not
You're gonna
seen that
Pay
occur,
overtime and
but,
all of that. This is a project that you can't put houses on for another 5 years. It seems to me that they're
agreed.
gonna take some of the urgency out of it.
So now I'll go to Ms. Murphy's questions, and
Well, but you're gonna come back to this, or would?
I feel like
Can I
I've
tag-
addressed the
can I tag on?
Pearsons. Oh, sure, yeah.
Well, I also want to ask whether the people that spoke have anything more to say on it, but is it treed on the Kerson's property up to, or is that already cleared up? It's wooded, so we're taking a swath through a wooded area, and your concern is that be minimized, right? You used the word landscaping before, but, you know, as a practical matter, we're not looking at putting flowers out there.
Can I just ask a question? You have 50 feet, you're doing a 20-foot road, you're centering it in the 50 feet. Does it have to be centered? Can it be more over towards the right so that we get more of a buffer on our side? Because on the other side, I think it's Pepin's property. His house sits further back, so the front does not affect him as much if you can move it over a little bit off the center. And also there are, I don't know if surveys have been done already, but there are pink ties and blue ties already on the property, and I'm not sure what is what. So if you could let us know, tell us what those are.
Regarding that question, typically, and I'm just sort of browsing the code here, typically, maybe Galen knows or has found this, but typically an ordinance will require a road to be centered in a right-of-way.
Subdivision it does, road. I know that the planning board can make modifications. It's under subsection E.
For subdivisions,
No, that's in your land use.
even in the land use also?
Yes, the planning board has the right to modify design standards. It says the planning board may reduce and modify the private driveway road standards where strict adherence to
Yeah.
limitations cannot be met considering pre-existing right-of-way, cannot be met due to environmental concerns.
So I don't think the planning board is, I wouldn't want to get in the business of dictating whether or not you're staying in the middle of that or not, given all of the possible factors. One of them is the aesthetics, but also against your future-proofing it, against the thought that you may have utilities come up that way, and you may find that they want to run power or water, sewer, and the like, and all of those things. Right now, the optimum situation is to have it centered. I do think you alluded to the fact that maybe you're not gonna take the entire 50. Do you have a thought on that? And might that be affected by this thought? I think you should, if you'll agree to do the tree survey in that area, but that might be a factor.
So the ordinance allows, so it's a 3-foot delineation from the center line of the right-of-way is in the ordinance.
There's some latitude. All I'm saying is that there should be a good reason for doing that, given all of the possible.
It's not a right-of-way, though.
No. He's gonna make.
You're going to eventually make a
50-foot
right-of-way.
right-of-way for a road
gonna-
in the 50-foot that is
Yes.
owned by the property.
It will be a
So, yeah, we're overloading the word here. Point taken.
Yeah, and you know, is it worth it to slide the road over 3 feet? I think that question, I think a tree survey could answer that question. I think
might
3
be a
feet
factor.
is,
Might be
you
a
know,
component.
maybe if a tree is kind of on the edge of the limit or whatever, 3
maybe
feet
you
might
move
make a difference. So
Yeah.
I think we can,
I think that the
we
whole
can
factor
do that
is-
survey and then come back with kind of an answer on that, if that's okay.
So subject to review. But how wide a swath are you gonna take?
So, you know,
Or do you have,
let me just glance at the plan here. So through that wetland area, there will be a culvert installed under the road, and it's a large culvert. It's large to allow wildlife passage, and you know, not just for the hydraulics, but the DEP and the Army Corps require you to build sort of oversized crossings to allow invertebrates to pass back and forth, and it has to have a natural bottom, so it's not, you know, you're not looking at the bottom of a concrete pipe or a plastic pipe. There will be, you know, soil filled up through part of that culvert. Anyways, my point is, what that does is it drives the elevation of the road up there through that wetland. So the road at that culvert is about 4.5 feet above existing ground. So what that means is we're sloping back down 4.5 feet in elevation from the edge of the road. We're sloping back down to existing ground, and at a 2-to-1, you're going 2 feet horizontal to 1 foot vertical. If you have to make up 4 feet, that's 8 feet of width on both sides. So that's 16 additional feet. So that's 20 feet of gravel plus 16 feet of slope. So you can see there's not going to be a lot of vegetation saved through there, unfortunately. But if a tree or two, you know, if a large species or a tree or two could be saved through there, I think the effort will be made to do that.
so I think that, just to be clear about the answer, they're concerned about this, but 50 foot is the width of the property, and they're gonna need almost all of that to construct the road, and you're gonna channel some water on the sides of the road as well, right?
There won't be ditching there, so it will just meet existing grade, so.
Narrowing the road because you need 16 on each side.
Sorry.
Are you narrowing the road? Because if you need 16 on each side, that goes beyond your 50 feet. If
No,
you're
no,
20
no.
and 16.
No, it needs
When
eight
you're
on
4
either
feet.
side.
8 on both sides, okay,
Yeah.
so you're 16.
So he said 8, I heard
And
10, you know.
what is your water runoff then when you're 4 feet above ground level?
Yeah, do we want to get this granular in here?
I think you want these abutters to go away with an understanding that this is gonna be done thoughtfully and carefully. That's what I'm looking for, hoping for.
For sure. So,
Could I add something to that?
Can,
No, don't go away, because it's one sentence. So I'm just wondering where the hydrant is in
with respect to the road, does that affect you at all? The hydrant that's on our property? Because I think it's right across from where you're planning on putting in the road. I don't know if it affects them or not, so I'm just wondering if it's been considered. So. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
So the hydrant is across the street. It's across Goose Rocks. It is shown on the plan. I can point it out to you after the meeting. But
On the
it's-
other side of
it's
Goose
not
Rocks.
On the other side of Goose Rocks Road. So it's not on this property. It's not on,
I didn't
not
know
on the
if the road would
person's.
affect it.
The road, this proposed road won't have an impact on it, no. Stormwater runoff. So stormwater runoff, through this area, there's a wetland. There's a pretty good sized wetland there. And runoff from, so our goal as designers is to kind of maintain the existing drainage patterns. So wherever the water's going today, do your design, do your construction, and make sure the stormwater runoff is doing something similar. And that includes volumes and rates of runoff. You certainly don't want to increase runoff, rates of runoff. But in a lot of cases, you don't want to decrease it, because that can have an impact too on groundwater levels and wetlands and so on and so forth. So that wetland, the wetland that this road crosses, a portion of it does come I guess west, and then crosses Goose Rocks Road in a culvert. But the runoff from the vast majority of this parcel actually drains back onto the parcel and gets into that. There's quite a large wetland system across this parcel. And so here's the Kerrison's house. Here's the road comes in. Here's this 42-inch culvert that I talked about. And runoff from the road will sheet off the road and into that wetland system, and it'll go where it goes today. So again, some of that comes down Goose Rocks and crosses, but the vast majority of this comes through here, and it feeds this large wetland system. So the point of that is there's very little part of this parcel actually drains to Goose Rocks Road and across. So, and we have studied that. We studied this culvert that crosses Goose Rocks Road, and our conclusion was, because there's such a small area of this parcel draining there, and there's such a small section of road being constructed there, the impact on that culvert is going to be negligible. So really the flows coming through that culvert onto your property, I believe, across Goose Rocks Road, will be very similar to what they are today, essentially the same.
At what point does this road start to make its elevation?
Yep, I'll go back to. So this is a profile of the road. So if you were to, what that means is if you were to walk down the center line of the road, that's what this is graphing. So this light gray line here is the existing ground. So again, if you were walking along the center line, you'd be walking along this elevation. The darker line is proposed. This does have a 10 times exaggeration. So
Show me on here, at what point does your elevation start in relation to where this is my house, and then I have a little garage here and a shed here.
Mhm.
So at what point on this, where does this piece start?
oh, I'm sorry. So where does the road start to go up?
Exactly.
Okay, so
Well, she's trying to line up the lower curve with the upper curve.
I understand. So
Yeah,
it-
me too.
Because if you're cutting away the trees, right,
Understood.
and the road goes up, then I'm gonna see more of the road.
Understood. So,
Because I have a little deck here as well.
so this station, this right here is 400 feet. So here's the intersection of Goose Rocks Road.
All right.
Station 0 is what we call it. This is 400 feet in, so that would be here.
But your culvert's here.
The culvert's there, that's where the culvert is.
There's the high point that he said. They have to mound it up in order to be able to put that in.
So this will be where this culvert is, which is here. That's gonna be where the road will be the highest above the existing grade.
Is this the road now?
Correct. That's
Right,
it's not a road, but that's the existing ground.
existing
Grade.
ground. Right, so you're coming up here, where was this culvert? So you're starting about where this diamond is here. So you're starting to come up a little bit over the culvert, and then you're coming all the way up.
Yes.
Thank you.
I have the ability to address what you just said about the runoff. So I don't.
Can you speak to the microphone? So with regard to that, excuse me, before you speak,
Yes.
I would like to say that I agree, we observed that Michael and his company studied this and issued a report. We're not experts on storm runoff, and so
Right.
we asked them to pay for, and we hire an independent consultant to go over all of this, Acorn
Right.
Engineering, and they've come back, and they initially had a few comments, came back, those comments are resolved, so they're.
And then I can show you facts of water that's running onto my property. that
Today,
Winter,
yeah,
I cross-country ski here all the time.
I understand.
And I'd just like to show you, this is a brook that's actually running right now. So it's coming from across the street.
I know.
Yeah, and so my point is, if this were to be altered and closed off, this brook that I am seeing right here, this is winter, this is still running. This feeds the pond on the property. This feeds another pond on our property. So I just don't want it to sound like it doesn't have an impact. It's not a small impact. If you were to block that off, I think
But-
it would greatly
They're not.
but
impact.
I haven't
No,
heard
no,
a
no,
proposal
no, I
that it
said-
would be blocked off,
No,
though.
no, I didn't say they were. I said if you were to block it off, it would impact the water on our land.
Of course.
Yeah, and that's all. Again, I'm trying
Right.
to.
Have you had an
provide-
opportunity to look at the stormwater analysis that's
I
been done?
have not,
And
because again, I
No,
wasn't
I-
even aware of this process
Yeah.
until I called and found out.
So
through these
I know
folks
it's
why I
available
wasn't
online.
even
Would it be
on.
available for,
It's online, yep.
and
Yep.
Yeah,
And I believe you came and talked to Nadia already 6 weeks
No.
ago about the project.
no,
No?
no.
Okay.
sorry.
So.
Must be a different Wendy.
So it's, this is a kind of a convoluted situation, because again, our property was up for sale. And there was a pretty bad proposal for the property, golf range and all of that. And I just speak to you about that, Galen. Luckily, that didn't happen. That went away, thank God. But we will need to get our own studies and our own surveys. And I'm actually just trying to offer some assistance in this. I'm not trying to show you a reason why something shouldn't happen. I'm just trying to show the environmental impact, and it sounds like they have a plan. I just want them to be aware. It's not a small effect that this water that comes in from the brook across the way. I mean, it comes all the way down Goose Rocks Road. It's fed from the river, comes down, trickles across our land. The realtor that was selling the property before it was taken off, our property before it was taken off the market, was actually talking about the pond being a man-made pond so that the developer could fill it in. Well, that's why I'm collecting information, and that's why I'm able to, okay. That's where I am with that, so.
Thank you.
Thought it might help a little, that I actually have moving water in the winter.
And that is helpful. Maybe I misspoke or wasn't clear.
No,
My
not
point
really.
was
I just
that-
wanted to clarify.
Yeah, if I made it sound like the water runoff across that road into the stream and into the ponds is insignificant. That's certainly not what I meant. What I meant was the effect of this project will be insignificant. So hopefully, I believe the way it's been designed, the water will continue to flow as it always has. So in the same volumes and in the same pattern and everything. You know, our goal is to limit the impact of this construction on those sorts of things. So.
Understood.
Next one.
Yes, please.
Okay.
And you're gonna get, you have contact information, if that warranty deed information
I'm
that
gonna jot all
Ms.
that
Murphy
down.
offered?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep. So I think Ms. Murphy talked about the wetlands and the runoff. I think we've talked about that. She also talked about the speed limit, which is that's a town issue. So I won't address that. Site distance, we did calculate site distance, and we've, on page 2 of our December 24th letter, report it to be 511 feet to the east and 530 feet to the west on Goose Rocks Road, which exceeds the requirements of the ordinance. So this is it's on the outside of a curve, so the view at least from where this road is proposed, is actually pretty good, pretty safe. I'm gonna take, I think, Miss Almond's comments. My notes maybe aren't the best here. There was a question about open space, and again, I think that's been addressed. A lot of as a result of this project moving forward, a lot of this area will be put into conservation by Mr. Angelos, and I think we heard about on this property, which is 25 acres in size. 20 acres in size. No, sorry, 25 acres in size, 24 3/4. There's going to be 4 lots. So, and there's quite a lot of wetlands on this site. So, much of it will remain forested. Do we have a plan for open space right now? No, that's just not. That plan doesn't exist yet. I think Ms. Almond asked about blasting. Blasting will likely be required out here. I mean, we're all familiar with the lay of the land in Kennebunkport. There's a lot of shallow ledge. We've designed the road to try to reduce that. Blasting ledge is expensive, so the applicants asked me to design this road so there's as little as needs to happen as possible. But it will happen. It will follow the requirements of the ordinance. I think there's a blasting permit that the contractor will need to file with the town, and I think it will likely include a pre-blast survey. So they'll go through the process with the town to ensure that it's done responsibly and within the requirements. The paper street, there's a question about a paper street. I think we all agreed. Teradyne Consultants has done a boundary survey. Our licensed surveyors have done a boundary survey here. I'm gonna talk to them about this and see if they know anything about a paper street. But as of right now, I don't believe there's one on this property. Helene, I don't think I got your last name. Lewin. Had a question about open space. I think hopefully I've answered that enough. And there was a Mr. Becco on Zoom, I think, or on the phone, asked about the timing of this, and I think I want to let Howard address the timing. Why now, and you know think relative to when houses are gonna be built, why are we here now?
Okay. First, I want to thank all the abutters for coming and offering their questions, and I look forward to working with you and resolving any questions you have and being neighbors. And so let me kind of quickly segue into what our plans are, because I think there's a misconception that, so the law says that for us to not go through subdivision, that we have to wait 5 years before we can split up our lot. That is true. However, we can build on it right now, which we plan to do. So my wife and I plan to, within the next 18 months or so, build a house that we would own, that my son Ben and his fiancée Jackie would live in on our property. And at the end of the 5th year, we would then split off the first lot and gift that lot to Ben and Jack. 5 years after that, and I may have the math wrong, but some 5th year multiple, we might do the same thing. We've got 2 other sons. My oldest son and his wife live in Massachusetts. They talk about moving to DC to be with my daughter-in-law's family. And if they were to ever build a house up here, it would be seasonal. My other son and his wife live in California. They live in Los Angeles, where my daughter-in-law grew up. They want to have a family. They want to have a family with young children in LA. If they, hopefully they will, but when they have a house up here, that will only be seasonal as well. So that's the plan, though. But it is a misconception, and Jeff, I look forward to meeting you at some time. But we do want to put a house on the property within the next 18 months or so. We're also making this roadway as best as we can compliant with subdivision, because if we're eventually wanting to have as many as 4 houses here, I would much rather pay to construct and go through the process that supports 4 houses and do that now versus doing something that's much smaller, though it's to a disadvantage to persons, but I want to be able to expend that money now and not have to worry about doing it 5, 10, or 15 years from now in order to widen it for the number of cars that may necessarily go down that road. So.
Just to elaborate on that, Mr. Beckel said this road doesn't meet the subdivision standards. In what way is it deficient, Mike?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. It would still be in a 50-foot right-of-way. It may be, it could be slightly wider, I don't know, Galen.
Road standards would be different if it triggered subdivision. So there's a paving requirement. There is a cul-de-sac requirement. Sidewalks. Curbing if you're in the growth area. There's different gravel compaction, if I remember correctly.
No.
No, all utilities have to be underground. Yeah.
Subdivision.
Yes.
Thank you.
So my notes are a little messy, but I think I touched on all of them. If any of you took a note that I might have missed, please let me know.
Michael, did you address scenario?
Microphone, Mike, you gotta come up.
I had asked about if there's any scenario where they don't have to wait 5 years.
So I think Howard hopefully addressed that. Today or once this land swap happens, okay.
I don't want to go through subdivision. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of added cost, added bureaucracy, but mostly I don't need to, and my wife and I are not developers, and so we're very happy with waiting over time and being able to take advantage of the Maine state law that allows us to be able to gift the property over time. Can I do it? I understand that I can if I chose to, but it's not something that we plan to do.
Can I just make one point, additional point here? The legislature is looking at subdivision law, and there are proposed changes out there. So I think what Howard's saying is he's complying with subdivision law as it is today, and he will comply with subdivision law, you know, if that changes. So that's really all he can do. So, again, I think hopefully we've addressed all the public comments.
Thank you. So no more hands raised, right?
No more hands raised.
Rick, questions?
I think Rick might have left.
Rick Sherman?
Rick left.
Oh, wait a minute, I didn't get to leave. So it's, the quorum is 3 then?
Mhm.
So I'd like to close the public hearing. You all in favor of that? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
So,
Oh, I'm sorry?
yep.
Yes, we do want to go through.
So we do have
what
a
is the-
technical thing. I think there is still some outstanding items with the site plan application. But one that was brought to my attention when Ms. Almond came into my office was that this property appears to have been on a previously approved subdivision plan. And so at each one of your spots is a copy of that subdivision plan. I quickly talked to the town solicitor about this. She suggests continuing the public hearing process until we can get clarification from the applicant, as well as to dig into this a little bit deeper on if this is indeed part of a approved subdivision that should have went back in 2021, that this be addressed by the planning board.
I'm sorry, you're saying you don't want to close the public hearing, you want to continue it?
Correct.
All right, so I think we can,
Pardon? Yeah, that was the
You have to come up to the
1998 subdivision that you brought into the office, a copy of it. Yes, yes. Remember that 98 one that you had?
this is from Helene Marie Lawand.
Yeah. We're not gonna solve this tonight, but we should just continue the review. I think the applicant's agreeable to let this.
Ms. Almond, this did not come from you.
No, isn't that from? This is Helene.
That's in the registry of deeds.
This is from.
No, that's fine, but
Contested
how did you get it, Galen?
So she came in,
Who?
Nancy, came into my office.
She says no.
She did, she had it,
Okay.
yeah. So we went in the registry of deeds and we did get you a copy, the digital copy, so this is a copy of it.
We're having a little.
So this is not gonna
confab
get
here.
solved tonight, this is
So we are not closing the public hearing.
just, I
We're
would
not gonna
suggest
vote
continuing
on
it.
approval. We're gonna, what did I say about somebody throwing a wrench in? This is saying we've done all of this, but there's a piece of paper that says in the registry of deeds that this land is part of a subdivision that was approved by the Kennebunkport Planning Board in 1998.
Yeah, I learned of this on my drive down here, so I've not had a chance to review it.
Teach and
or
answer your
understand
phone,
what
yeah.
it- what it
There's a
means.
contested gore in here as well.
Yes.
So this is not gonna get solved tonight. I think we've heard a lot of good feedback, and I think we'll continue, again, the review.
Act two.
Can you just,
My mouth is open.
May I ask a question?
Yep.
How does this get resolved?
So,
good
Thank you.
question.
so what I would recommend is that, there needs to be due diligence on the title work for the properties, and determine if indeed this was part of that subdivision. It would be a major revision to the subdivision, and that should have required planning board approval back in 2021. Because it was creating a new lot off of an existing lot that was part of that subdivision.
Well, it would also
So
mean that
that-
the road had to be judged against the subdivision
Correct.
standards.
So that, there have been several property transfers
Yep.
since 1998. They're not invalidated by the existence
I'm
of this
not a
plan.
title attorney. That is, yeah, that is to be clarified by you all, but that's in our ordinance for the town of Kennebunkport, what we look at is there a major revision to that plan? So there's something called a major and a minor revision. Minor revision is when you're just taking existing parcel lines and you're just adjusting them in some way. You're not creating new lots. It appears that in 98, this property was all one lot that Helene owned.
Right.
And in 2021, she broke off that piece. And in 2021, that should have been gone back to the planning board for the blessing. What we're going to do as staff is we're going to look through the 98 minutes
Yep.
to see what was included on that and look at the 2021 minutes of the planning board to see if there was any discussion of this property. But I don't believe that was the case. 2021 was when that new parcel was created. It's the top one with the 250-foot right-of-way, the 50-foot accesses to Goose Rocks Road.
And that's the parcel that Dr. Angelos
Correct.
bought
Correct.
and ultimately would swap part of
Yeah.
it to.
Yeah. And I did notice when I quickly looked at the deeds, it looks like the deed that was supplied to us doesn't reference that subdivision, but the prior deed did. So I would just suggest look through the title work, see if it is part of that subdivision, and we'll try to clarify this.
Who's got the action at this, and what action is it?
So the applicant has to do title work.
Okay, so I'm hearing actions here. The applicant has to do title work.
Yep.
To what end?
To determine if this property, this land, was part of the subdivision plan. That is their objective.
To show that it was or was not?
Yes.
In other words, to resolve this question.
Yes.
But it sounds like the code office has an action to provide the applicant with the information from this planning board action.
Right, we'll look and determine first what the 98 one, what was in the minutes. But then
Okay.
also in 2021, maybe the planning board did give their blessing for this parcel. So we can at least supply that information.
Here's what I propose,
Yep.
or here's how I understand sort of our role in this. We've done a lot of research already for the boundary survey. We will review all that, and work with Galen and probably the town's consulting attorney, to determine what sort of application we should be before you, whether it's site plan and we're okay, or whether we can't go through site plan because this land was part of a subdivision, and does what we're proposing to do require an amendment to that, or something like that. So, that's how I understand. So
We'll work together
I
on
think
that.
we, as the surveyor of record, will provide information we have
Okay.
to the town and sort this out, and hopefully we can come back to you folks
So-
with a clear path forward.
So
on
Mike, you feel
approval.
like you're in the driver's seat here, and excuse me, you're gonna be given information from the code office, and you're happy with what you're hearing in terms of how that's gonna work?
I think so, yeah.
Thanks. So we will continue the public hearing at this point, and everybody, appreciate all your patience, and I'm sorry, the public hearing is still open, so yes,
I'm just, Helene Lewand. I'm just wondering which subdivision are we talking about? What are we talking about?
1998. It was a survey it was a subdivision that was in your name for your properties, and I believe it was to cut off, at least just at first glance, it looked like it was,
Is that piece?
Pepin's property?
It's the piece between the
Yeah.
two 50-foot
Yeah.
pieces. Okay,
Yeah.
I have more information about that, but
Okay.
we can talk
Yeah.
about it. Okay. Thank you.
plan references division plan of the Adams Farm.
Which is what it is. Which is the old Black, it's now Black Rock. No.
You have other business?
Are we good for the night?
Yep.
Thank you.
Mike,
Thank you all very much.
thank you all.
We'll see you again.
Openings on the planning board.
There's probably, we need an author, I think, on this thing. There's a book in this.
Findings of fact.
8 Temple, and you've got the one for.
in February.
Just read that.
Sure, I will read this.
So, excuse me.
I'm going to read the findings of fact.
Can I ask all of you, we're still in session here, if you could go to the bar,
Kennebunkport
We're just gonna
Planning
read
Board.
findings of fact, it's
That's
pretty
not a
dry
command
stuff, but
performance.
Site planned application of Peter and Gretchen Warren, 8 North Street, Kennebunk, Maine. Oof. Kennebunk.
You all can leave.
You could,
like,
yeah,
don't
unless
have
you
to
want
stay.
to listen
Yeah.
to a
Yeah,
findings
you're
of
right.
fact on the project.
In an application
yeah.
dated
I would go for the
1/7/2026,
doors.
the applicant
You
is
will be the
proposing
first
to
group that ever
stabilize
wanted
an
to.
Yeah, I
eroding
would go to the
shoreline.
door if I were you.
Following a site plan review pursuant to the Kennebunkport Land Use Ordinance held on January 21st, 2026, and a public hearing held on February 4th, 2026, the Kennebunkport Planning Board makes the following findings and conclusions and renders the following decision. Findings of fact. 1, the owner and applicant of the property are Peter and Gretchen Warren, 209 Mount Vernon Street, Newton, Mass. 04265. In a letter dated August 13th, 2025, the applicant authorized Walsh Engineering, 1 Karen Drive, Westbrook, Maine, 02465, as authorized agent for this matter. 2, the property has a street address of 8 North Street, Kennebunkport, Maine, 04046, identified as Assessor's Tax Map 11, Block 2, Lot 11, Lot 15 on the Municipal Assessor's Tax Map. 3, the property is in the Village Residential Zone and is within the 250-foot shoreland and resource protection zones. The highest astronomical tide elevation along the shoreline is 6.5 feet. The property falls within the effective flood zone AE with a base flood elevation of 9 feet. 4, the owners, Peter and Gretchen Warren, have demonstrated a legal interest in the property by providing a copy of a warranty deed recorded in the York County Registry of Deeds, Book 16689, page 708 to 710, dated August 30th, 2013. 5, the applicant is proposing to stabilize the eroding embankment and protect the existing trees by backfilling the voids beneath the trees with well-graded gravel, armoring the toe of the embankment with riprap boulders, and installing a 10-foot native vegetative buffer landward of the riprap toe protection. 6, an inventory of larger trees was submitted. The purpose of this project is to preserve trees along the shoreline. 7, an application for the proposed project was filed with the Maine Department of Environmental Protection under a Natural Resources Protection Act permit by rule for shoreline stabilization on December 22nd, 2025. Statutory approval of the PBR was received on January 12th, 2026. 8, the applicant has requested submission or performance waivers from the requirements of the Kennebunkport Land Use Ordinance for the following: 24-10.6C7, there is no change to the building or parking. 24-10.6C13, no lighting changes are proposed, and 24-10.6C14, there is no signage. The Planning Board granted the above waivers. 9, pursuant to the requirements of Article 10.10.a of the Land Use Ordinance Guidelines for Decisions, the Planning Board shall approve a site plan application unless it makes a negative finding on one or more of the following identified findings, which would otherwise compel denial. For the following A through L through M through P, The findings are all yes. When a proposed development will be located within the shoreland zone or resource protection zone, in addition to the requirements of the Kennebunkport Land Use Ordinance, Article 10, the townwide regulations in Article 6, the performance standards for specific activities and land uses in Article 7, approval of the development will also require that the board makes positive findings based on the information presented that proposed use A through H findings are yes or not applicable. Any negative finding by the board means that the application has been denied. The application is otherwise complete. Conclusions, Article 10.10.a of the Land Use Ordinance mandates that the planning board shall approve a site plan application unless it makes one or more identified findings that would otherwise compel denial. And as noted above, the board makes no such findings. Decision, the site plan application identified above is hereby approved. Conditions of approval, if any, pursuant to Article 10.11 and 10.12.e. 1, the applicants pursuant to 10.12.e shall notify the planning board prior to the transfer of rights to construct an approved project. No assignment or transfer of rights to construct an approved project is valid without prior review and approval by the planning board. 2, the applicants must record a copy of this decision and provide proof of such recordation in the form of copy, therefore attested by the Registry of Deeds before any permits may issue or construction activity may commence. 3, the applicant shall comply with all terms and conditions of the Town of Kennebunkport ordinances, the Kennebunkport Planning Board, and got to initial that.
Yep.
Yes.
So while that one's being signed, I'm going to read you the findings of fact for 8 Temple Street, which we approved at the last meeting. Kennebunkport Planning Board findings of fact and decision, application of the South Congregational Church for improvements to the community house at 8 Temple Street. Following site plan reviews pursuant to the Kennebunkport Land Use Ordinance held on 21st of January 2026 and a public hearing held on the 4th of February 2026, the Kennebunkport Planning Board makes the following findings of fact and conclusions and renders the following decision subject to the conditions enumerated below. The findings of fact are as follows. 1, the applicant is the South Congregational Church, United Church of Christ, with a mailing address to P.O. Box 414 at 2 North Street, Kennebunkport, Maine 04046. In a letter dated 9 December 2025, the applicant authorized Gregory Scott of 7 Lockwood Drive in Kennebunk, Maine 04043, to act as their agent in this manner. Mr. Scott represented the applicant in all discussions before the planning board. Number 2, the property location is 8 Temple Street, Kennebunkport, Maine 04046, and is identified as map 11, block 2, lot 9, in the village residential zone on the municipal tax assessor's maps. 3, the 17,066 square foot lot is entirely within the shoreland zone overlay. 4, the applicant demonstrated a legal interest in the property by providing a deed for the property conveyed to the applicant on 23rd September 1968, which was recorded in the York County Registry of Deeds, Book 1817, page 711. 5, in an application dated 30 December 2025, the applicant proposes renovations to the existing community house structure and the land. Specifically, the proposed work is to renovate the kitchen, install heat pumps on the main floor, basement, upgrade electrical service and breaker panels, install 26 kilowatt standby generator, replace a 100-gallon above-ground propane tank with a 500-gallon in-ground propane tank, replace hot water tank with on-demand propane hot water, replace and extend front steps, remove current ADA ramp on west and south sides of the building, construct ADA-compliant ramp on the north side adjacent to the front steps, remove certain sidewalks on the north side of the building, install French drain along front of buildings with drains above ground on south and west sides of building. Number 6, the applicant confirmed to the board that there would be no impact to existing water lines during construction and explained that the outflow from the new French drains would be directed to vegetative areas. 7, impervious area will not be increased by the renovations. 8, the applicant requested a waiver to the submission requirement for location, dimensions, and details of signs. The board granted this request as not applicable for this project. All of the submission requirements were provided by the applicant. Number 9, pursuant to the requirements of Article 1010A of the Land Use Ordinance, Guidelines for Decisions, the planning board shall approve a site plan application unless it makes a negative ruling on one or more of the following identified findings which would otherwise compel denial. And no such finding, no such negative finding was made on any of the items A through P. Item 10, when a proposed development is located within the shoreland or resource protection zones, in addition to the requirements of the Kennebunkport land use ordinances outlined above, approval of the project also requires that the board make positive findings based on the information presented that the proposed use will, and A through H, findings are all yes, with the exception of one not applicable, so no problems. Conclusions, Article 1010A of the Land Use Ordinance mandates that the planning board shall approve a site plan application unless it makes one or more identified findings that would otherwise compel denial, and as noted above, the board makes no such findings. Decision, the site plan application identified above is hereby approved. Conditions of approval, if any, pursuant to Article 10.11 and 1012E. 1, the applicant, pursuant to 1012E, shall notify the planning board prior to the transfer of rights to construct an approved project. 2, the applicant must record a copy of this decision and provide proof of such recordation in the York County Registry of Deeds before any permits may issue or before any construction activity may commence. And 3, the applicant shall comply with all terms and conditions of the Town of Kennebunkport ordinances. Approved on the 21st, approved today by the Kennebunkport Planning Board on the 18th of February. Thank you. Always something. These are for me?
Yeah, there's initial on front, there's initial on this, page 3.
So while you're all signing, under other business, no.
We're not allowed to start any
do-
new
do our
business after
rules
9 o'clock,
let us
I'm
go
sorry.
Yeah, it does.
And you
We
wanna,
did
you
it
wanna,
before.
you wanna date this as well?
So, I was talking to the town manager and, with Nadia as well, and I wanted to approach the subject with you all to see if you'd be interested. I know, we have a little bit more of a challenge filling all of our seats on the board. And I think it might be from, some of the workload that we do as a very active board. And so staff was wondering if you'd be interested in having staff draft your findings of fact for you, if that would be helpful, instead of assigning a case manager. But I just wanted to open that conversation with you all to see what your thoughts were, and if that'd be of some benefit for you all.
Has to be a benefit on recruiting. Has to be.
Are you saying that it would be a benefit?
I
Are you saying you'd like to get rid of having to write your findings of fact? Let's just get right to the.
How about reading?
Do you want me to read that into the record?
Well, and is, reading is another thing. I mean, is reading necessary?
We've asked that before.
I just Googled it. And I just said,
Because Google says
is
everything's
it
right.
actually required to be read out
Is
loud?
it? Yeah.
Well, I think that's a
If you
question.
want
that could-
legally defensible, MMA always says it's best practice to
Oh,
to
really?
do that, yes.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay.
Required best practice.
Yes.
No, no, that's good.
Our town has
That's-
seen
that's
its
enough.
fair share of case law that is because of findings of fact of our board, so it is something that is recommended.
One benefit would be consistency of
Yes.
approach in every single one of these, because we've got a couple of different templates that are floating around.
Yeah.
And people are using,
Make sure to sign on.
as somebody who has a job,
Yeah.
it would be great.
Yeah, you can comment.
I would just think, it was brought up in the, it is tough to find people to serve on the planning board, as you all know. And we were trying to think of ways that, there's a lot of work that you have to do, and the findings of fact, the staff has a capability of doing that, and if it's something that would take it off your plate and not, a new board member wouldn't have to like, oh my God, I have to write findings of fact. To your point, people work, they have full-time jobs, they have young kids with families. The feeling was that this might be a burden that could be taken away from you, if you all wanted to agree to it.
I'm fine with it. 4 years ago, it was us and Berner.
It was who?
Us and Berner.
Oh, okay.
And that we had no memos giving us additional direction, a question might be asked. I think we weren't haphazard, but it was, having staff do that for us now is terrific. So long as the town is okay with that, like there doesn't need to be some sort of citizen input. It's not a skill I'm willing to continue to hone.
I think that there's something to doing this. I think there needs to be consideration for how you get buy-in from the planning board members sufficient for them to sign it. Because I think it does need to be signed, it needs to come from the planning board officially, and it needs to be signed for them.
Yeah.
So I think for it to be read in front of them, I wouldn't be able to do that. So the timeline is gonna be
What?
a bit of
Yeah,
a
we give it to
concern.
them. Yeah, we'd give it to you in advance of the meeting. That way you can make any changes that you need to.
Probably
just
more
think of-
advanced than I get them out.
I'm saying we struggle with that now, even amongst ourselves. It's
Right.
like, I got this 8 Temple one out Monday or Tuesday, I felt badly about
Right.
it. And,
Our hope is that they would go out Friday, that way you have the weekend.
I think something like that would work, and
Would be great.
Do we put this to a motion?
No, I don't think it needs to be a motion, but I just
why
wanted
don't we
to,
just think
Well,
about it?
if you want to. I don't-
If you wanna think, I mean,
Talk about it at the next meeting.
Yeah, and you get,
And then maybe you look at the practicality of who would you put this on, and how would you manage it?
Yeah, mostly it'd be Nadia and myself that would be the ones to draft it. And, it's not too much of a lift, I don't think, because we do the memos for you
Yeah, no,
already.
I
that
agree.
Have a lot of the same information that you
I'm lifting
plug and
language from
play.
the memos these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So outside of the public comments, that's usually, something that we, will be adding in that needs to be. But I already do this for the ZBA. Before, the chair used to do
Oh, I didn't know that.
the findings, and I felt terrible for, there was the home occupation applicants, and they already came to the meeting, and then I like to get them read the findings of fact right there, because they don't have to wait, especially like for these small little things. So it's been good, and they don't meet as regularly, so I can type them in the meeting while they're having their discussion. And they're not as complex. I mean, these applications are more complex, so certainly we would take our time to draft them and make sure you have all ample notice to make any reviews that you need to, and any revisions.
Well,
you can think.
So we can take a crack at the first approvals that you did tonight, if you would like us to see how that plays out.
Did we approve anything tonight?
The first
Do we
two,
still have a case manager?
well, the first, one of them was a preliminary
it's just you.
application, it's just a
Yeah.
memo, a letter has to be written, so by all means.
Yeah.
We've come a
Let
rubber
him try.
stamp.
Huh?
We become a rubber stamp.
I just think it's something you should think about, because I think it is one of the hindrances to finding members who, when you tell them what
You
they
actually
have to
heard that?
do, they kind of are like, I don't have time to do
That's a
all
lot of work, yeah.
I'm only recently retired. It was a lot of work.
What I can share with you is in other planning boards, especially in more rural areas where they don't have professional planning staff, the members would do it. But as the planning boards evolve and you have more planning staff, that responsibility usually goes over to the planning staff to just help the members out. I haven't.
We don't model ourselves after
Yeah,
Kennebunk.
we're better than Kennebunk.
Kennebunk
We're
models
still
themselves
live,
after
guys,
us.
so,
Yep.
yeah.
I'm not afraid of that statement.
I didn't mean
I say
to
with
say
Chris
a word.
Osterreiter and I
I say
have
with
I
wonderful
just wanted to
banter.
remind you.
Yep, I'm good.
We like thoughtful remarks.
Yes.
I do have one thought. I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Yep.
Second.
3-zip.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.